on the field while the kids are shagging. Maybe, I don't know, light one of the BP pitchers on fire. You just got to spice this thing up a little bit because the whole thing where you're tired and your teammates come over and they fan you down and then you get a Gatorade because it's a sponsored thing. I don't know. But I did see one in person. I did like it. I was just talking to Tom about that. So the home run derby's going on right now. If anything crazy happens, like someone hits a home run, we'll break to it and give you live bonus coverage of a home run on the home run derby. So we're at the All-Star break. Before I get going, though, a little ADD moment. Before I get going, proud Papa moment today. My son, FP Jr., was on KHTK in Sacramento from 2 to 6 today, and I listened, and he nailed it. So he's doing like a little tryout on air to have a full-time job. So while I was around the house today, I was listening to my son do a radio show, and it was super surreal. I'm a proud dad. I tweeted it out. He did a great job. He absolutely killed it. I don't know if they're going to hire him full-time. I think they should. I think they'd be lucky to have him. Where I started in KHTK in Sacramento, I was on the Rise Guys for a number of years there with Whitey Gleason, and Whitey's turned out to be a great friend, a lifelong friend with the relationship we made at that show. So I don't know. It was a surreal moment. He's been behind the scenes in broadcasting here at KNBR and over at NBC Sports Bay Area for a long time, but he got the nod today to go on air for 4 hours, and he did a really good job. So I want to say congratulations to my son before I get going on the show. I'm really, really proud of you, buddy. That was really, really cool stuff, and you did a really good job. Very prepared, unlike your father, so I'm really proud of you. He did a wonderful job. So we're at the halfway point right now with your San Francisco Giants. 808 KNBR. You know the show's about you guys, and these are the shows that are the toughest, right? There's no game to talk about. We could talk about Logan Webb yesterday a little bit and how great he did, and I think Patrick Bailey deserves a big tip of the cap for what he did. Gives the bullpen a 5-day break, which was really nice when you talk about all the bullpen games. So at the All-Star break, the Giants are 49-41. They're 8 games over. They're 2.5 games back of first place. We're in third place right now. Last year, your San Francisco Giants were 48-43, and they were 12.5 games back. So the division's a little bit different this year. So as we start the show tonight, and it always starts with Giants, and it's baseball season, and I'll always start the show with Giants because that's what I like to talk about. 808 KNBR, are the Giants pretenders right now or contenders? They were 48-43, so they maybe not much difference last year at the All-Star break. They're 49-41 this year. I can get into the numbers, which the Giants had in their notes yesterday, and they're really kind of the same without boring you guys with a bunch of numbers, because I think there's nothing more boring than talking numbers on radio or even television for that matter. But the numbers are pretty equal to last year. There's a few things different in my mind between the 2022 Giants and the 2023 Giants. The numbers are close. The number one thing is the bullpen. The bullpen's way better than last year. And the other number one thing, like 1A and 1B, is the defense. The defense scared the crap out of me last year. They weren't making routine plays. There was ground balls that should have been double plays, that should have been out of the inning, that were routine, that should be made at the big leagues that weren't. We've talked about this a lot. This year, I know maybe the numbers don't bear it out with the errors, but the plays I'm seeing that are supposed to be made are being made. Some plays that aren't supposed to be made are being made by Casey Schmidt and J.D. Davis. And when you talk about, first half MVPs, whether it's a position player or a pitcher, and we kind of touched on that on Friday before we left for the weekend. And if you want to chime in who you think your first half MVP is, I'd love to talk to you guys tonight, 808 KNBR. Like there's signs besides the division being takeable. Does that even make sense, being takeable? That this team is way better than last year. Obviously, we're all excited about the kids. We're excited about the infusion of youth. Patrick Bailey, to me, is the first half MVP. I know with Lamont Wade Jr. and J.D. Davis a close second. But what Patrick Bailey did when he came up, he solidified a position that was not solidified, and it's the most important position on the field. And what I saw him do, I rewatched the game today. In Logan Webb's first complete game, 10 strikeouts, no walks. He stole, and I didn't keep track of it. And I'm kicking myself right now, but I didn't have the time to go back and rewatch it for the second time. But I started noticing toward the end of the game, and I'm guessing 10 to 15 pitches that were 50-50, he pulled in the strikes out for that 10 strikeout performance. The way he frames pitches, the way he commands a game, the way he runs the game, that's his second shutout, I believe. The other one was like a 6-pitcher opener game in Milwaukee. So you have a 24-year-old kid behind the plate. You have your 5-year, $90 million franchise pitcher out there. The confidence, they were playing catch yesterday. That was 1 hour and 56 minutes. The shortest game since 2009, I think, for the Giants. I can't read my own writing. So when you have him behind the plate, we didn't know. Joey Bart was doing okay. There was moments, and then there was moments. Blake Sable has been doing much better lately, but there was moments. There was like 47 catcher's interferences, if I count them right, in the first couple of games. I think in the first 3 games, there was 47 catcher's interferences. No, but he had 5, and that's more than anybody's had in a long time. So when you talk about that position being so important, with your pitching staff being the main part of what you got going on as a franchise, then I'm giving the first half MVP to Patrick Bailey. Are you fixing the camera? Make me look pretty, Tim. Paint me like one of your French girls. Let's go, Raph, let's go to Lloyd in Sacramento leading off the show. Lloyd, you're on KNBR.
Hey, how are you tonight?
I'm doing wonderful, Lloyd. I'm watching the home run derby. Mookie Betts is up, so I think the batting practice pitcher should drill Mookie Betts right now, just to hit him repeatedly. Because he's a Dodger. He's a Dodger.
At least twice.
Yeah, at least twice. Yeah. What do you got, Lloyd?
Hey, I'm agreeing with you. If you remember in 2010, this young kid came up in that catcher position, and he did something for the team, and it was just bring a confidence and a quietness, and that was Posey. And Bailey has done the same thing this year. And he is, for me, the biggest change between last year and this year. He's brought that same kind of confidence and quietness and just instilled into the team a true belief that no matter what you throw up there, he's going to stop it. And that's huge for the pitching's confidence and for your infield's confidence.
It is. And there were I noticed small things, because I see a lot on a baseball field. And when he walked out to the mound after the complete game, and Logan Webb has never done that before, been in the handshake line as the pitcher. Like, that's the first time he's had the opportunity to do that. But to watch Patrick Bailey kind of just stand on the mound, he had his mask under his arm, and he was shaking hands. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to throw complete game shutouts around here. It wasn't like he was throwing this little 24-year-old party because the ace of the staff just did something he hadn't done before. He was very matter of fact, like when Barry Sanders used to score a touchdown and hand the ball to the referee, I'm here right now and I'm going to be back, so I'm not going to go too crazy because this is what I do. Same kind of reaction from Patrick Bailey on the mound after the game.
Logan got ripped off on one thing, though.
What's that?
Bailey's got to work on the hug. He didn't get a buster hug. Bailey's got to work on the hug.
I thought it was a good hug, man. I was so fired up for Logan. Yeah, I'm not supposed to have favorites, but he's a Sacramento kid, and I just love his attitude. He's a football player that pitches for me, and exactly. I just love his demeanor on the mound. So, and you could make an argument that he's the first half MVP. I don't know. The fact that that's open to interpretation for everybody, and we can throw 5, 6, 7, 8 players out there is a really good sign of how this team's performing.
Yes, it is. I appreciate you, man. You do a great job. I enjoyed you as a player. I'm enjoying you as a host.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Lloyd. Good leadoff call tonight. 808 KNBR if you guys want to chime in. Going to take a quick break, set the show a little bit more. We're talking Giants baseball, and then we'll talk Big League Chew. Random guess that Raph got today, but I kind of like it because tobacco was a big part of my game as a player. And it was a big part of my life, I should say. And it's the one regret I have of all the things that I put in my body as a Major League Baseball player. And trust me, I put a lot of things in my body. It's well documented. But the chewing tobacco thing is, the one thing I wish I would have never done, and it was super addictive. And the Big League Chew that this Rob Nelson guy founded in the 80s. You guys all know what Big League Chew is, right? We thought it was cool, and it's a substitute. And the best thing about gum and seeds now is you're not seeing players chew as much anymore. So we're going to have Rob Nelson on the top of the hour at 7 o'clock. And then Marty Lurie's coming on around 8 o'clock to talk baseball. But in the meantime, 808 KNBR, it's our show. What do you guys think at the break? Contenders or pretenders? Your San Francisco Giants on the Sports Leader.
Broadmoor, shout out to you for supporting KNBR, Broadmoor's Sports Leader.
what's trending now
Trending now.
on KNBR.com.
Ooh, I want to listen to this one. Mike Krukow tells Murph and Mac what he expects the Giants to do at the trade deadline. That podcast and so much more trending right now on the all-new KNBR app.
Play KNBR at your pad on your Apple HomePod. KNBR Tonight with former Giant F.P. Santangelo. Now continues on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
So Julio Rodriguez is hitting right now. He's got 14 home runs, 135 left in his round. So anytime the home guy is in the home run derby, that's the best part. He's hitting him out at will. So he's in his timeout right now. Pete Alonso's in the cage. And I said we would break into the home run derby if there was something noteworthy. This is fun. The crowd is into it. They're all standing on their feet in Seattle. So as soon as he jumps back into the batter's box, we're going to throw you live out to Seattle for bonus coverage of the home run derby. They got a camera on Pete Alonso. And tell me when, Raph. Tell me when he's back in the box, and we'll throw it to it. All right, let's go to Seattle real quick.
Again.
Got under this one, 1:20 to go. 4:52, the longest drive, and that might eclipse the 4:52 to left center. Rodriguez, second deck.
Ouch.
Deep, gone in left field. He's at 20 with a minute to go. 21, there goes 22 for Rodriguez. Low line drive, will have enough carry. 23 for Rodriguez, 50 seconds. There's a drive left center toward the pen, 24. Got under this one, 40 seconds left in the round. 4:52, the longest drive. Rodriguez left center, 25. There goes 26 for Rodriguez, a low liner. 27 annihilated to left. Rodriguez got under this one, 20 seconds. Fly ball left center, will it have enough? It does, 28, Rodriguez. Another deep drive to left, second deck, 29. 10 seconds for Rodriguez. Another missile to left for Julio. 5 seconds, deep drive, left center, going.
Just
Gone.
magnetic.
Rodriguez unloading again. 32 for Julio Rodriguez, and 60 seconds of bonus time coming up.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
mean, just the pacing and the rhythm and the power. And when he did miss, he always missed up. He missed to the launch angle side up. He only hit one ball. He didn't hit a ground ball, a single ground ball. And he hit one line drive down the left field line that barely got over the infield. Everything else he missed was up. So he had that plan all along, and he has the power to not quite square it up and still get the carry to go out. Incredible power.
He's trying to become the first player to win it in his home ballpark since Bryce Harper did it in 2018 with Washington. And there's 3 times it's happened. He's trying to be the fourth to do it. Todd Frazier, as Garrett Cole alluded to with Boog Sciambi a little while ago, did it.
Yeah.
Cincinnati in 2015. You got to guess on who the other one is? It's a former Cub, Wrigley Field.
Wrigley Field,
1990, Ryan Sandberg.
Oh, Sandberg, okay.
He did it.
Rhino, that's right, he did win. Thinking Sosa might have been in there, but no, Rhino.
And Julio did not homer in his last 14 games leading into the All-Star break. Hit 5 in April, 5 in May. He's hit only 3 since May 30th, but 32 when he has the full minute of bonus time, which is about to start. And the crowd, again, serenading their young star, the 22-year-old Julio Rodriguez, spraying that stickum on the handle as he walks back up toward home plate. Calculated move there to stall and get himself some extra time.
Well, he might have stock in that company, though, so a little product placement.
All right, he digs in, and the bonus round begins now with the magenta ball. Fly ball to center. That's going to stay in the yard. There goes one to left field. Deep drive. Rodriguez gone. Another to left down the line. Second deck. Left center. Gone off the LED scoreboard in left center field. Low line drive, left field. Edgar's landing. Here it comes. 36 for Rodriguez. 37 for Julio Rodriguez. Left center field. That carries out toward the pen. 38. Is this 39? It is. 20 seconds to go.
I mean, no slowdown at all. Everything is out.
Rodriguez, 40.
Everything.
10 seconds remaining for Rodriguez, who's putting on an absolute show.
Every ball he hits in the air is gone.
Left center, pulled that one on the ground, and he's done. 41 home runs. Julio Rodriguez, who flexes now at home plate.
I mean, he carried the world on his shoulders there. I mean, the ball was one after the other, just one after the other, consistently. And the power, we're talking not cheap home runs here. We're talking upper deck, left center field. And he had a plan. And when you look at the batting practice, the distance, they were really close. The pitcher was throwing from a very short distance. It's probably more.
That was insane. I mean, he's screaming at the crowd from behind home plate like a primal scream. 41 home runs in one round. Are you kidding me? I got goosebumps watching that whole thing. All right, we're going to take a quick break right now. We'll get to your calls. I see all the calls, all the text messages. You guys stay right there. We'll get back to the show. But Pete Alonso's coming up, and this is the only one that I thought was worth watching. We've done a lot of live look-ins and bonus coverages here on the show, like over the last year or so. That's the best cut-in we've ever done. By far the best cut-in we've ever done. So he's getting interviewed by Buster Olney right now. Julio Rodriguez, 41 freaking home runs in front of his home crowd. Amazing, machine-like precision there. And we'll have maybe some Pete Alonso on the other side of the break. You're listening to The Sports Leader. We're here with our good friend Steve Moskowitz, who always hits a home run when you're talking about taxes and tax deals. Today, Steve, you want to talk about the ERC?
Yes, I do. And what happens, this is where the federal government is giving away. That's right, giving away. It's not a loan. They're just giving you the money of up to $26,000 for everybody you employed during 2020 and 2021 that qualifies. Now, you might say, Steve, my CPA told me I don't qualify, so I'm not interested. Wait a minute. Now, I was a CPA before I was a tax attorney. A lot of CPAs that I've spoken to are not looking at the second method. They don't look at the first method, the math method. There's a second method which requires analysis. There are a lot of people who did not have the drop in gross revenue that do qualify under the second method. We go over it. Multiple licensed professionals in our office agree, and if you qualify, and a lot of people do, you get just as much money as if you use the first method. You only have to use one of the two methods, and although some people have gotten millions, we have lots and lots of clients that have gotten hundreds of thousands, other people less. I realize people's fact, circumstance, and results can differ, but treat this like a medical doctor going for a second opinion. Don't let that money sit on the table until this program ends. Get everything you're legally entitled to.
Sounds like a grand slam to me. Thanks, Steve. Call Steve Moskowitz at 1-888-TAX-DEAL or visit MoskowitzLLP.com.
Enjoy KNBR in FM at 104.5 FM. Now back to KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo on the Sports Leader.
All right, so Julio Rodriguez with 41 home runs. I just sounded like Danny Partridge. Did you hear that? Julio Rodriguez with 41 home runs in the first round just lit up the home crowd in Seattle. One of the coolest moments we've seen in a home run derby, maybe since Bryce Harper won it in 2018. It's always fun when the home guy is getting it done. But Pete Alonso has won this thing twice out of 4 tries, and he's hitting right now. So we're going to go back out to Seattle. This is the matchup of the night. Pete Alonso versus Julio Rodriguez. Here's Alonso. He's got 15 home runs as we speak.
Long homer from Alonso midway up the second deck.
Right now he's getting too many pitches on the outer third. I mean, he's trying to hook them, or he ends up fouling it off like that. He's just not getting the pitches consistently in his nitro zone.
Final 10 seconds for Alonso. Left center field, he's at 17. There's number 18 for Pete Alonso. Center field, that'll fall short. The round is over as he just does get that one off and out to the left of dead center. 19 for Alonso, the longest drive for the Mets slugger, 457 feet, and he's got 1 minute of bonus time coming up, and again, he's got to try to catch 41 hit by Julio Rodriguez.
I mean, even something like someone with a round of 30, he'd still be in striking distance here, but 40, I mean, he's got to get 22 home runs
in a minute.
I mean, that's really tough.
I don't think Pete Alonso is going to catch Julio Rodriguez, so we'll go back to the show right now. If it was close, we would have stayed with it, but it doesn't look like he has a chance. Do you guys remember last year during this? It was after I had Dave Jouse on. Dave Jouse was the guy that threw to Pete Alonso in his 2 wins. He was my former coach in A-ball, and he threw the best BP of any coach I've ever been with, and he's not there. He's not throwing to Pete Alonso, and whoever it is, I can't see the back of his jersey right now from the camera shots they're doing, but it's not Dave Jouse, and he's yanking everything to the outside part of the plate. So you guys know, I'm talking to baseball fans out there, the batting practice pitcher is everything in these contests. If you're not a guy just throwing cookies in there, and even like during the season, batting practice is so important for a major leaguer. If you got some coach that's just pounding you in and you have to spin out of there and you're pulling everything in BP, it just formulates bad habits for the game. Generally speaking, you want a coach that lays the ball right down the middle, and then you can manipulate the baseball around the field how you want. So if he throws it down the middle, I can go the other way with a round. I can go up the middle for a round, or I can pull it for a round. But if you have a coach that's kind of buckshot everywhere, spraying it, it can really get in your head before a game. Baseball's the only sport that offense isn't practiced at game speed. And I've always said for years that, like, you know, they have these the machines in the cages now that can simulate game speed and velocity. But like for years, it was just like make you feel comfortable to feel uncomfortable during the game. And my theory was, as a hitting coach, to make you feel uncomfortable during practice so you feel comfortable during the game. Then that's what football does when you go ones versus ones, right? You're going full speed. Basketball, same thing. Baseball, it's a 60-year-old coach throwing 50 miles an hour. And I don't know, it gets your confidence ready for the game, but it doesn't, I don't think, get your swing plane and your hands in the right zone. Alonso at 21 with 8 seconds left, so this isn't going to happen. Julio Rodriguez hit 6.4 miles of home runs in 2022 Home Run Derby. 6.4, like 33,000 feet of home runs, and he looks like the favorite now that Alonso has been eliminated. The question I threw out there at the beginning of the show, we're a little bit all over the place, but that's to be expected when you're doing live look-ins, is, you know, contenders or pretenders, and who's your first half MVP for the San Francisco Giants. We kind of touched on it on Friday, so I'm doing a little bit of a rewind with this segment. I probably shouldn't have done it on Friday and saved it for today because it is the Home Run Derby. We'll get into Logan Webb's outing and Patrick Bailey and break down that later in the show. I also want to get into the Northwestern story. Alex Cobb's an all-star. And I have a story later in the show. So if you're going to stick around to maybe the 9 o'clock hour, about I had an encounter with a medium over the all-star break. Not a small, not a large, but a medium. And I want to tell you guys about it. Let's go to Dollar Bill. Dollar Bill, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Aloha, FP. How you doing, man?
Are you still in Hawaii?
No, I just got back.
Oh, that
sucks. I got back on Friday, so it was good, but it was tough to come back, and it's freaking cold here. So,
dude, wait,
but that's all right.
It's more than cold. What I mean, it's nice today, but this weekend it was a freaking hurricane. And I walked around town yesterday. There was 40-mile-an-hour winds. It's July in San Francisco. It's summer somewhere. But it definitely wasn't in the city this weekend with the winds. Like that wind, I was flipping the wind off walking down the street. Like I was literally double birds to the wind this weekend.
It was definitely tough to come home, man.
Yeah.
So,
but who's your first half MVP?
Camilo Doval. He's the best part of the team. Without him, I mean, we're less than 500 without, instead of being several games above 500 and competing for a wild card. So to me, he's been the most steady part of the bullpen of the most steady part of the team, which has been the bullpen. So that's for me. That's my MVP.
I mean, it's a good pick. It's such a buzzkill to a ball club when you have a closer that can't close out a game. So as position players, we work hard for 8 innings, and then somebody comes in and blows it consistently, and there's a quiet clubhouse. That has such a turnover over the long haul. And when you have a guy that's lights out and you know that he's going to save 99% of the games when he goes out there, and he's becoming one of the elite closers, and we talked about it last year that he was on his way to becoming a top-tier closer. Now he is. He's an all-star. So, yeah, I mean, that's just a nice comfort zone to have. I don't know what the Giants are going to do at the trade deadline. I think they need help at second with Tyro out. I think they'd love to have a starting pitcher, but so would everybody else. And then, I don't know, I'd like to make my strength stronger, and their bullpen is their strength. Maybe you go out and get another piece to the bullpen. Who knows?
The other part of the team that I think is really the difference between this year and last year is, and you mentioned it, I mean, we've been talking about it for the last 2 months, the youth. We're now a team, the Giants are now a team with a future, as opposed to a hodgepodge guys that they are rehabbing and trying to make something work for this year. We can see a team with a future now, and it's all the energy the youth has injected into this team. So I'd say that's the biggest difference between this year and last year.
Dollar Bill, since you touched on it, and I was going to save this for later in the show, but might as well fire this bullet right now. So the Otani thing, and everybody talking about a trade for Otani at the trade deadline. I'm against it 100% because I feel like, based on what you just said, based on all the enthusiasm we've had on this show and I've seen around the ballpark recently because of the guys you're talking about, that you don't trade your future away for a guy that's going to be here for a couple of months. Maybe you can sign him. It would be really cool to have him be a Giant, but I'm not mortgaging the future for this guy. I'll pay, like I have the money, $500, $600 million for him in the offseason versus trading for him right now. What do you think?
Well, you know what? I mean, look at just go back to this past offseason. Everybody was getting all up in arms because we didn't get Judge and we didn't get Correa and all that. And now, who are these guys? One of them's hurt. Judge is hurt now. Correa's not doing anything where he is. And now we're talking about all these young guys that nobody even knew back in January. And so I'm a believer that you build from within. So that's my take.
That's how you're good for a long time. And if you start just bouncing around with free agents, then what's your identity and what is Giants baseball? I think we all know what it is.
Like the New York Mutts. That's what you look like.
But the reason we all fell in love with the 49ers this year was because this unknown quarterback came out of nowhere and surprised all of us and was really freaking good and maybe the best quarterback in the NFL for an 8-game period, and we didn't see that coming. And maybe the same reason why we're so excited about the Giants now at the All-Star break, 8 games over 500, is because there's a lot of guys that we didn't know about, we didn't see coming. And I think as sports fans, when they're our own guys and we drafted and developed them, like Brock Purdy, like some of the guys we're talking about with the Giants, that's why we're so excited. And now, if you go for it and all in for a parade and you mortgage the future and Otani signs with the Dodgers in the offseason, you don't sign him and trade everybody, there's no way in hell that they're going to trade for him. There's no, at least from where I'm sitting. I could be wrong.
Amen, brother.
All right, Dollar Bill. Hey, welcome home. Appreciate the call.
Thanks, man.
Let's go to Terry on a cell phone. Terry, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hello.
Hey, Terry.
First-time caller to the talk show.
Oh, hey. All right. We love first-time callers, man. Thanks for calling the show. Really cool stuff. What do you got tonight?
It's an awesome year for baseball, especially being a Giants fan. I told some friends the other day if they didn't win another game the rest of the year, it's been a blast just watching Bailey come up and Matos and Smith and all the rookies. I think almost everyone on the team could be an MVP because they've all contributed a certain amount. But I'd probably go Camilo or Bailey.
Well, Terry, I know you're excited about the team, but if they lost every game after the All-Star break, I think we'd all be pissed off, and Giants fans would be handing their season tickets like they did or they wanted to in the offseason.
It's been a blast being a Giants fan from 2010 till now, and they've really given us some good baseball, and it's been great. But I think Logan Webb could be MVP, but he's lost a lot of games. I don't know how many he had won, but he didn't get the batting behind him. That's kind of always hurt him, but he's been really good. So it's an awesome time.
All right, Terry. Well, thanks for calling the show, man. Don't be a stranger. I appreciate you calling KNBR for the first time. That's really good stuff, man. Thank you very much.
Can I tell a quick joke?
Yeah, tell a quick joke. I mean, you're taking a chance, but go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Two ex-pro baseball players are sitting down talking about whether there's going to be baseball in heaven or not. And so how will we ever know? I go, well, why don't we get there first and wait and come back and tell the other one if there's baseball in heaven? So one of the guys died and comes back and says, well, the good news is there's baseball in heaven. He goes, what's the bad news? He goes, you're scheduled to pitch on Thursday.
All right, Terry. Thanks for the joke on 50,000 watts on the Sports Leader. Good stuff. You're scheduled to pitch on Thursday. All right, hey, let's get back to some Giants talk. I want to break down Logan Webb's shutout the other day and talk about the influence that Patrick Bailey had. I want to get into this Northwestern story. Did you guys see what happened in Northwestern and their football team and their coach getting fired today? I want to get into that. So a lot of topics. 808 KNBR. If you want to chime in tonight, the phones are open. 808 KNBR. We're talking first half MVP. Are the Giants contenders or pretenders? And we'll get to some other stories next on the Sports Leader.
Here's what's trending now. On KNBR.com.
Robert Flores of the MLB Network joined Tolbert and Copes today to preview the All-Star festivities and to look ahead toward the second half of the season. That podcast and much more trending right now on the all-new KNBR app.
my goodness. That one did not go.
Rutschman. Did he go 7 of 8 in that final round?
Yes, he did.
30 seconds, 7 of 8. From the right side, Rutschman to Mount Rainier.
Download the all-new KNBR app. Now, KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo continues live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
So Rosarena just hit 30 in his round. I'll keep you updated on the home run derby. These guys are getting gassed, man. I don't know how they're doing it, to be honest. It's not like they're running a marathon or doing a triathlon, but if you've ever swung a baseball bat that quick, that many times in a row, your legs just turn into fire. It's not your arms, it's your legs. Like swinging that much. In college, we used to hit so much, too much probably. We didn't work smart, we worked hard. And it's bringing me back to all those like long BP sessions in the cage where you had no legs underneath you. So we'll get back to Seattle with some updates in the home run derby. I want to touch on this Northwestern story. You guys have listened to me on this show for, I don't know, over a year now. And you know I stay away from the negative stories. And this is a positive show. I love to take your calls. But this one kind of resonated with me in the sense that the hazing thing and the way it's evolved over the years. And I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Pat Fitzgerald was fired today, the head coach of Northwestern football. And one of his former players came out with all these things that they do behind the scenes that are just not right. And the player told, ESPN, he went to ESPN, and this caught fire. It was a local story, then ESPN got a hold of it. And the stories that they were doing behind the scenes, if true, because you have to say if true. It's one kid, and he went there, and he went to the media with it. And there's always, with a transfer portal now and guys getting disgruntled, you want to take his word for it, right? Because it's pretty elaborate, the descriptions of the things that were going on. But it said that the coach knew about it, and that he actually had like a clap in practice that if somebody screwed up, they got penalized. And if they got penalized, the senior classmen, the upperclassmen, would haze these younger guys, the freshmen, into doing things that they're just insanely ridiculous. Fitz knew he should have made it stop, and if he truly didn't know, he should have had the head. This is the kid's quote. He should not be the head coach. Either way, he should not be the head coach because he's not monitoring and protecting the safety and well-being of the students. This is the kid's quotes. This is the team since it's been going on since 2006 apparently, and there was an investigation by the college. So this current Northwestern player was talking about the knowledge of these incidents. They were exaggerated and twisted, or what the current players are saying. But the player who asked to be named anonymous told ESPN on Sunday the former player was hazing allegations late in 2022, launch investigation for him. Blah, blah, blah. He just kept saying, yeah, it'll be okay. I just try to get coach fit. What they were doing is incredible. So the former player said names would be added to a whiteboard in the locker room, and that running, in quotes, running would then take place at certain times of the year, including Thanksgiving and Christmas. The former player sent ESPN a photo of the whiteboard headlined Shrek's List. A listing the names of players as well as bulleted items that included naked slingshot, naked bear crawls, naked center quarterback exchange, and naked pass rush. Now, I know a lot of couples in the city that are into this, but like if you're a college player, and we all remember back to college, as a freshman, I went to Cal Berkeley. I was so freaking lost. Like I was a fish out of water. I came from El Dorado Hills, California, and El Dorado Hills was nothing. It was like one street and a bunch of cows and horses in a high school. There's like a Rayleigh's there. That was it on El Dorado Hills Boulevard. So I got a scholarship, went to Cal Berkeley, and my head was swimming, man. And I looked up to the seniors in colleges. Probably we all did, right? When we were freshmen walking around campus, whether it was sports or just guys in our class or girls in our class, we looked up to the upperclassmen. And I can't imagine if at Cal, my freshman year, I don't even know what naked slingshot is. I can imagine what naked bear crawls are, naked center quarterback exchange. Naked pass rush sounds kind of fun, but like if you're made to do it, like that's not cool. I mean, if it's consensual, naked pass rush might be fun at a party. Just saying. I'm the tackle, you're blitzing. Let's go. Let's do this. But this was in the middle of the locker room for all eyes to see throughout his entire time in the program, the former player said. I will say with 100% certainty that every single individual who has ever come in this program between 2020 and now has seen this whiteboard. Every single player in this program from 2020 to 2023 knows what Shrek is and knows about the hazing that occurs. So there was other things. The player went on to say the former player outlined other instances of hazing in which players had to perform naked acts in the locker room, including mimicking the center quarterback exchange in football games. He cited the car wash.
That sounds pretty gross.
It does, Gabe, in which naked linemen soaped up their bodies and blocked the entrance to the team showers.
Great job, brother.
Why did they soap up their bodies? I don't know. This sounds like Northwestern. These kids are supposed to be smart. He also described the Gatorade Shake Challenge, in which 3 freshmen were forced to drink as many Gatorade shakes as they could within 10 minutes. Apparently, they just all barfed for days after that. Okay, Gatorade by itself, but a Gatorade shake? What do you put protein in the Gatorade? Anyways, this is awful. And when we were rookies in the major leagues, we got hazed, but I had to wear like a clown suit on the airplane. And rookies had to dress up. And it was fun and it was an honor. It was never one of those things where you have sleepless nights like this poor kid did. If this is allegedly true, like you got to keep saying that. But there's a lot of detail there. And the coach was fired this afternoon. So I think, like, my take on this is like when you make the players in Wrigley Field walk across the street in their cleats and their uniforms to buy coffee. That's fun. I mean, that's part of like earning your stripes, so to speak. But when it's malicious like this, I mean, what is this, 1940 something? Like, you watch this on movies. You didn't think this still happened in college football. And if this is happening anywhere and you're an athlete, you should definitely, like, college to me was the hardest adjustment I ever had. Everybody thinks high school, whatever with high school. Well, high school is tough. You're trying to find your way. But when I was a freshman at Berkeley, just kind of reiterating, like, you had to know who to hang out with, who was cool, who did the things you do, who did the things that you don't want to do. And then it's this feeling out process. You want to be accepted. You want to be part of a group. You want to be part of a club. You want the upperclassmen to think you were cool. But then you saw some upperclassmen that you didn't want to do the things they were doing. And you just want to fit in, right? You just want to be a part of something. That's why people join fraternities. That's why people join sororities. That's why people join different clubs, chess club, whatever it is, music club in college, because you want to feel like you're a part of it. But can you imagine like working your whole life to get a football scholarship and getting a really high score on your SAT and having great enough grades to go to Northwestern and then getting there and you have to go naked car wash to get in the shower? Like, there's no way that any kid should have to go through that at that age. I mean, if you want to like have a little bit of fun with it, but that's going overboard. Anytime it's cruel, it's bullying, it's sexual like this, like, come on, man. Like, there's way more. For smart people at Northwestern, there's way more clever things that you could think of than this. This is like, I don't know, it sounds like some sort of like underground club. It sounds like a sex club in San Francisco or some sex society or a sex party. By the way, there's a lot of those here. Like, I've been here a year now. I'm just like, really? I'm hearing stories. Like, oh my God, maybe naked car wash is one of the things. I've never played it. Naked Twister. Let's go naked quarterback exchange. I'm Brock Purdy.
Lee Hammer says no.
And we'll do this naked quarterback exchange. All right, 808 KNBR is the number. We'll get back to the Giants a little bit. I'll give you an update on the home run derby. I want to, at the top of the hour, get into, did you guys, this is really good stuff. Well, I'm going to save it for the next segment. On the other side of the break, Raph, we got to get to this interview with Rob Nelson. You guys don't know who Rob Nelson is. He is the inventor and founder of Big League Chew. Chewing tobacco was a big part of my career. I wish I would have chewed Big League Chew, the bubble gum, instead of tobacco. So we're going to try to connect with Rob.
a show.
Watch the bottom half. He's not tired at all. 106 miles per hour, 24 launch angle with 10 seconds left.
Got out of his swing on that one. Got about one more after this. Got to do it quick, and he won't do it. He'll stop at 41.
Follow KNBR on Facebook. This is KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo on KNBR 104.5 and 680. The sports leader.
Okay, so we tried to track down Rob Nelly Nelson. He's the inventor and founder of Big League Chew, but he's at the Home Run Derby apparently, not answering his phone. So we'll keep checking back with him. Marty Lurie coming up at the 8 o'clock hour. We're going to kind of State of the Giants, State of the Union, how they're doing at the All-Star break. Haven't caught up with Marty since May. So that's going to be fun. This I wanted to share with you guys. I don't know if you heard this, and I don't know if it was on our air today, but Sam Darnold was a guest on Pardon My Take. You remember he's the one that saw ghosts against the Patriots, right? When he was a quarterback for the Jets. He literally saw ghosts. He said, I saw ghosts. I was seeing ghosts out there. We've kind of had fun with it throughout the course of the show about seeing ghosts. And then I talked about the Pfister Hotel and how guys won't stay in the Pfister. And the Giants don't even stay there anymore. When they go to Milwaukee, they stay in another hotel because certain players throughout the course of the year thought the hotel was haunted. Well, Sam Darnold, the newest San Francisco 49er, that could be your starting quarterback in week 1. We'll see how that whole thing comes out with Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. Has been working out with George Kittle. So he was on Pardon My Take. So this is your newest San Francisco 49er quarterback on Pardon My Take talking about working out at George Kittle's house.
George Kittle's barn. We were working out with him, did an interview with him, and he told us that you guys have become pretty close. You lived at his pool house, right, during OTAs, but then you moved out, and he was wondering why you moved out.
Yeah. Well, I got my spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
No.
Any other reason why you moved out?
No.
That he would have told us maybe?
No.
To ask you about? You didn't think it was haunted?
Oh, the pool house?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was. Yeah, there was something going on.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
That's not why I moved out. I moved out because I had already spent a week there, but that didn't help.
We have to follow that up.
Yeah. Tell us all about the ghosts.
I think you actually do see ghosts. Like I think it's like a real thing.
Like legitly.
Yeah.
Legitimately. No. It was crazy though, man. Like I never had anything like that happen to me before. I'm talking about, I guess both, the New England game and and at George's house. No, but it was crazy, man. Like I woke up and you know how sometimes you have a dream and then you wake up and you feel like you can't move for like maybe 4 or 5 seconds, whatever it is. I felt that and I woke up, it was like 3 a.m., went to go take a pee and, came back, fell right asleep. And then that next night, the same thing happened. And I just couldn't, I had to keep focusing on this thing in the, there was something else.
The hat man.
In the room.
Was it a dude wearing a hat?
No.
Billy was telling us about the hat man.
No. Yeah. It was very creepy and I had never dealt with anything like that before. And I know a couple people who have had situations where whether it was old Civil War, place where now there's a hotel or a dorm and people have certain experiences with that. But it was just super, super weird. And it just felt like when I woke up, there was something holding on to me.
Yeah.
That next night, I felt that something was in the room with me. Jesus. And it was the freakiest thing. I'm getting chills talking about it right now, but that's never happened to me before.
And I'm sure it sucks for you because you can't be tell the media I saw a ghost.
Yeah. No, I didn't see him. I just felt it.
Felt it.
Listen to your body.
Yeah, I felt it.
Okay. You guys got to help me out with this. Have you ever seen a ghost? 808 KNBR. Do you have a ghost story to share with us? Because this is potentially your quarterback this year. He saw a ghost against the New England Patriots. Then he went to George Kittle's house, and there was somebody in the corner, and he could feel a presence. That's Sam Darnold you just heard right there. That's potentially the quarterback of your 49ers this year, talking about he was working out with George Kittle. And this is 2 days ago on Pardon My Take. So thanks to Pardon My Take and Big Cat and PFT commented for that and letting us play that. But what do you think about that? Have you ever had an encounter? I've never had an encounter with a ghost. I've never seen a ghost. I go on TikTok all the time and I look at these ghost stories and they're there it is, and they show it and I can't see it. I don't know if you have to believe and open up your mind to see ghosts. I mean, the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me, I'm going to share this with you guys. This is full disclosure on 50,000 Watts. You guys know I probably talk too much about my personal life, but I think I woke up one time when I was back east, and there was this like black thing hovering over the bed. And I've read up on night terrors, and that's apparently what it is. Like if you have a night terror, there was this like black blob kind of like hovering over the bed, and I couldn't move, and I was trying to scream. Have you ever had that dream where you're just trying to scream and you're like, and I was like, I couldn't get the scream out. So I don't know what the hell's going on with Sam Darnold. I don't know if he's taking gummies or edibles or he over-shroomed or whatever at George Kittle's house. But for a guy that, I mean, we've made fun of on the show for saying he saw ghosts against the Patriots. To go on like one of the biggest podcasts in the country and say that, I mean, they kind of cornered him in that. And I think George Kittle threw him under the bus, but he still said that like he felt a presence at George Kittle's barn. I've told this story before, so forgive me if you've heard it. Rick Shue, the former assistant hitting coach of the San Francisco Giants, one of my best friends, we do this big Halloween production. We're kind of into Halloween. That's our holiday. We do the big thing where there's 1,000 kids and they line up down the street and we have tombstones and all these special effects and, theatrical lighting and theatrical foggers. It's a big deal. It's in El Dorado Hills every Halloween. But he was telling me a story when he was in spring training with the Diamondbacks as a coach, where he woke up in the middle of the night and he looked at the end of the bed and there was a Frontier girl. Like she had on the bonnet and the white dress and she was like hovering at the end of his bed in a hotel in Arizona. Yeah, and maybe she said that. Oh my God, you just gave me goosebumps. So he took a pillow and he fired it at her and she disappeared. Yeah, the way he tells that story is way more scary than I did. And every time we're drinking beers around Halloween, he'll tell me that story again. Or I'll tell him, Shuey, got to tell a story about the Frontier girl. And I go, oh, man. He goes, look at the hair on his arm stands up when he tells the story. And he swears to God, like he doesn't do drugs. He loves his Coors Lights, doesn't do any hallucinogens or hallucinogenics, whatever, hallucinogenics. He just drinks beer. That's all he does. So he threw the pillow at her and she disappeared. I mean, what if he comes in the huddle and that's his voice? Like it's 4th and goal from the 3. And he jumps in the huddle and he goes, did you guys see that? And Kittle's like, dude, what? Did you guys see that over there? Like it's a night game? Like not even a day game, it's a night game? Like there's something off with this dude. Like I'm serious. Like maybe he's just like a medium. And I got a good story about a medium that I want to tell you guys. I mean, I might tell it right now, unless the phone lines light up. 808 KNBR. Lee in Livermore. Lee, have you seen a ghost?
Yeah, actually, FP. So it's not as strange as you'd think it would be, right? So
no,
like
I think it would be
like
strange.
Wake up and you've got ghosts. That's just the way it is sometimes.
Well, can you be more specifically, like, because everybody that posts things on the internet about ghosts, it looks shady. Everybody that posts things about UFOs on the internet, it looks shady. Like, I want some concrete freaking proof that you saw a ghost.
Okay, so a little girl ran down the hallway and jumped under my bed. I mean, I'm serious. Like, no, out of nowhere, and so that's real.
That's real creepy is what it is. Oh my God, here come the phone call. So a little girl ran down my buddy used to stay with me in my house in DC, and he's a fighter pilot, and he was always like the driest sense of humor. Did you hear the pitter patter of that kid's feet last night down the hallway? I'm like, shut up, dude. And he would like deadpan it to where I'd start to think about it. Like, are you serious, bro? Because that stuff scares me, bro. Like you could do the serial killer movies with Mike Myers and Freddy Krueger. That ain't going to happen. But we start getting the supernatural and the possession and the ghost. That scares me, man. That's like, that could be real.
It does scare me. And you know what? They say you close your eyes and then you open your eyes and they're gone. So there you go, bro.
Did you look under the bed? And is she still there?
Oh, hell no.
And were you drinking?
Way.
Were you drinking at all?
No, actually, I was not. I was going through withdrawals, actually.
Well, all right. Well, just take a look under your bed tonight, Lee. I think you're just like, you can speak these things into existence too, I feel like. If you talk too much about them, like next thing you know, there's like a 4-year-old under your bed going, "Hi, want to play?"
Oh, FP, you're scaring me now. All right, I got to go.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, Lee. Let's go to Jim on his cell. Jim, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, I got a ghost story for you.
All right, bring it.
Let me just say at the outset that it's a friend of mine's story. That I have never seen him. I'm like you. I'm not sensitive to it, I guess. But like my ex-wife and her sisters used to see him, and it was a thing that I kind of gathered, like you're saying, that either you're sensitive to it or you're not. And I'm really thankful that I'm not, because they scare the poop out of me, and I don't ever want to see one. But man, this story from my friend, this one really freaked me out. So, and this is really, I mean, this person is a college professor. I won't say anything more, so you don't know where, whatever. But a very sharp person, very intelligent, very down to earth, a person that you would trust, like someone you'd want in a foxhole with you, that kind of person.
Okay.
So when she was a teenage girl, they lived out in Sacramento, right out on the outskirts of like West Sacramento, where it's still, pretty open and stuff. And there's a bunch of graveyards out there, right? Across the street from all these graveyards are these farmhouses, and they buy, her mom and dad, when she's a teenage girl, they buy this house. So she has her own bathroom, and her mom and dad have their bathroom, and she notices that, like, she's in the shower, taking a shower, she feels like a breeze blow in, and it's like, oh, wow, it's cold, so she turns up the heat. Then the breeze blows in again, and it's even stronger, and she says, okay, this is what she says, and like I said, a very, sharp person, so I believe her. That, like, the wind blew the shower curtain open. That's crazy. So she got the hell out of there, right? So
wait, Jim, you got to tighten this story up, bro. It's going way too long, and there was a breeze in the shower, and the shower curtain open. Like, that's not a ghost. Like, that's a breeze in the shower with the shower curtain open. So get to the scary part, or else we got to bounce.
Get to the scary part. Okay. So this happens to her, like, and starts happening all the time now, right? So she tells her mom, I can't use that shower anymore. Something is on, something's in there, and it's scaring me. So her mom says, all right, we'll switch showers.
Oh, now we're talking.
Now we're talking. So her mom goes and starts doing her shower. Second time she does it, the wind starts blowing and freezes her, and then blows the curtain open. And my friend never told her mom what the deal was. She just said, I don't like it.
Dude,
I don't want to be in there.
It's the wind, and it's blowing the shower open. Where's the ghost, and is he grabbing them, and is it making noises?
But like every time, they check the window. There's no windows. It's sealed. There's no nowhere for the wind to blow in. And then another thing that would happen in her room at night, she'd be in bed, and and she'd hear the computer, the keys go click, 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 click. She'd be reading, like, with a flashlight in bed with the covers over her head, because it scared the crap out of her, right? So one night, her mom is coming down the hallway and hears the clack, 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 and it's a school night. She goes, oh, she's up and she should be asleep. So her mom throws open the door, and the lights were out because my friend was asleep with a flashlight in her bed. But the light from the hallway shined in, and her mom could see the keys going click, 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 but nobody was off the computer.
All right, Jim, that's a good story. I appreciate you sharing with us. I'm terrified. The wind blew the shower curtain open, and there was a noise down the hallway. Thanks, Jim, for calling. I appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a quick break right now. I got a story for you about, well, let's save that one for later. I want to get back to the Giants and get back to sports. We got way off track right there, and that got really weird really quick. I want to get back to your first half grades of the Giants. We got Marty Lurie at the bottom of the hour. He's coming up at 7:30. We're going to do a State of the Union. But I want to get into Logan Webb's start specifically yesterday and the value that Patrick Bailey has to this ball club. Next on the Sports Leader.
You're tuned into KNBR Tonight with former Giant FP Santangelo. Listen to us here and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We are KNBR 1045 and 680, the sports leader.
Have you guys tried these Celsius energy drinks? This is not a commercial. I mean, these things are like, I don't know what smoking crack is like, but I mean, I feel like I could pull a tree out of the ground right now. They're the whole new rage right now. I bought them at Costco the other day. Like I bought a case of them because everybody said they were good. Celsius. It's like they really get you going. That's why the show's all over the place tonight. 808 KNBR. I want to get into Logan Webb's start. That's his first ever complete game. It's a big deal, you guys. It's a big deal for him. It's a big deal for the Giants moving forward because he's got to be the ace that they signed in the second half of the season. Not that he wasn't in the first half at all. You know, but those kind of outings where he was so on top of his changeup and it was just all the arm speed maybe on his changeup was better than his fastball, which as a hitter, you're thinking fastball and then it just disappears. His sinker command was awesome. The slider command was amazing. And just smelling the finish line and getting to the finish line and having, I don't know, stuff left in the tank for the third and fourth time through the lineup and to strike out the side in the ninth inning. The crowd was into it. I was into, I mean, it was a special moment, I think, in Logan Webb's career. Your first ever complete game. Shutout. I mean, 10 strikeouts, 7 hits. I'm looking at the pitches. He threw 103 pitches, 75 strikes. Just total domination. That game reminded me of like a spring training game getaway day thing where, you know, the All-Star break's right around the corner, an hour and 56 minutes. If you were at the game, did you in any way feel like you were ripped off a little bit? Or did the complete game shutout supersede the fact that you didn't even get 2 hours at the yard if you came right at first pitch? I'm wondering how that whole thing goes. And we talked about a little bit last week, the state of baseball based on the new rules and where it's at right now with the pitch clock. And now you got a guy dealing. And I've said all along that if you as a pitcher have the momentum with a clock, it's like a avalanche going downhill. What am I going to do as a hitter? You're rolling. I can't step out. I only get one time out. And the game just you just feed off that. And if you're a pitcher the other way around and you have to keep throwing a pitch every 20 seconds every time and you don't have your stuff, it can go the other way where it's a 10-0 game before you can blink. But I thought it was real cool that Logan Webb smelt the finish line and had Patrick Bailey back there. And when we talk about the first half MVPs, and we've been touching on it today, we touched on it a little bit Friday, of the San Francisco Giants, I could go a lot of different directions here. It could be J.D. Davis. It could be Lamont Wade Jr. It could be Camilo DeVault. Maybe even Logan Webb. There's some other guys, but to me, it's Patrick Bailey, hands down. And the reason I'm saying this is, I know it's small sample size, don't get too excited, but what you're seeing with the defensive skills behind the plate, the obvious stuff, the throwing. He made a throw the other day against the Rockies that it was in the dirt, and he didn't throw the guy out, but just the athleticism on that play, on that one play reminded me of Kurt Suzuki when he was young. It was a backhand stab on a ball in the dirt in the left-handed batter's box, and he threw sidearm to second base and made it closer than it ever should have been. And whoever the runner was for the Rockies was safe. But that play alone was like athleticism emphasized times 10. So we see the obvious things, right? The batting average is over 300. The home runs for both sides of the plate, the throwing, the game calling skills. What I really geek out on, and my favorite part about broadcasting a game or watching a game on TV, is the framing skills and the manipulation of the strike zone. And in that game, I would love to have the official stat on this, but I feel like it was over double digits of balls that were 50-50 balls that Patrick Bailey subtly pulled into the strike zone and got calls for Logan Webb. So now as a pitcher, what does that do? A, I have confidence in this guy and his game calling ability. B, I know I just have to, it's like horseshoes. I just have to get it close. It's like having JT Snow at first base and I'm throwing across the infield. He's going to pick me up wherever the ball is. He's going to scoop it. He's going to manipulate his feet on the bag. So as an infielder, when you have a first baseman that's really good with a glove, invariably what you do is you hit him right in the chest because you know you don't have to worry about missing. With a pitcher and a catcher, and those guys playing catch and in sync to have an hour and 56-minute game, and knowing that I'm going to get most calls on the edge, then I don't have to throw the ball anywhere near home plate. I can work the corners. I can shave corners. I can go top of the zone, bottom of the zone. I can go north, south, east, and west because my catcher is not only calling the right pitches in the right sequences where I don't have to think, my catcher is getting strikes for me that aren't strikes. And I've said stealing strikes, and people are like, that's cheating. FP, you talking about stealing strikes. That ain't cheating, man. That's called just being a good catcher. You said he was stealing strikes. Like, no, he's just being a good catcher, and he's taking a pitch that could go either way and framing it in a way subtly that presents it in the strike zone that you get the call. So we talk about an automated strike zone, and I've heard people talk about it. I've heard a lot of good baseball people that I look up to talk about it. They want it. It'd be the worst thing that ever happened in Major League Baseball. Because now you take the art of framing pitches, which I think is one of the coolest things to watch in a game, away from the game of baseball. What you're also going to do is take the stolen base away from baseball. And why? Well, if I'm a catcher and it doesn't matter how I frame, I don't have to be in the squat. I could almost stand up to throw out a base runner. So now that whole part where I have to come out of the stance and get my feet underneath me and make a good throw is taken away. I could just basically stand up and throw guys out because my pitch framing skills don't matter anymore because it's automated strike zone. But here, and that's why this kid has flipped the season on its head for the Giants. I'm not putting everything on Patrick Bailey's back for the second half. The Giants don't have a parade on Marcus Street because of Patrick Bailey. The Giants don't make the playoffs because of Patrick Bailey. It's not on him. It's just solidified everything. If you built your staff on 7 or 8 starters, and your bullpen is the best bullpen in the National League West, and you have a catcher with this kind of skills now, if I'm being honest, Joey Bart wasn't this guy behind the plate. Blake Sable's definitely not this guy behind the plate, even though he might be the sneaky, most improved player, sneaky MVP of the first half. He's done a great job of getting better at everything. Offense, defense, left field, whatever. But now you have a plus defensive catcher. And that doesn't mean it's Pudge Rodriguez throwing guys out. It doesn't mean it's JT Realmuto back there. But when you talk about what this guy has done for this team, he's solidified the San Francisco Giants. And I remember, John Lund, I was doing the show with him the day he got called up, and I totally poo-pooed the whole thing. I'm like, well, everyone's not going to be Casey Schmidt. I only saw this guy play twice in spring training. I don't know much about him, but just know that everyone's not going to be Casey Schmidt. And then John was like, FP, you're being a buzzkill. And he was right. You should have been excited about Patrick Bailey. I wanted to see it first, and I've seen a big enough sample size to know this guy's your catcher for a long, long time. That said, Joey Bart can't go anywhere. Here's the insurance policy in AAA, and that sucks for him. Let's go to Dave in Antioch. Dave, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, FP, I'm out here by the Flying Ninja Sushi Bar across from down by the cannery, listening to some cool jazz. I was trying to make it up to Battery Street to share some insights with you. I was there Friday night, Saturday, and yesterday, and Giants fans, we got a gem there in Bailey, of course, with the rest of the teams, with Webb. And I'm sorry if you can hear the jazz playing in the background.
Oh, that's cool, dude. I just got
FOMO.
rock
it back there.
Yeah, I have FOMO.
The guy told me to cool it down,
Yeah, just send some sushi this way, like DoorDash some sushi over here. Would you? I like salmon rolls. Salmon's my favorite.
Oh, is that what you got?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had a couple of beers in me, so I had a concussion, so I need to. I sent you a message about the July 29th. I got an extra ticket for the veteran if he can make it. But getting back to the Giants. I just want have you check out the text messages. But the other night I called and I told you about when I called the Giants when they're in New York and Bailey hit the 3-run or whatever home run on Friday night, and those jerk offs in New York. They got the Yankees and the Mets, and they're talking about football. But you know what? Us here, Giants fans, across the nation, we rock it. We're diehards. I've been there since 74, 75, and Ed Halicki threw. I don't know if it was a no-hitter or perfect game, but as I said, my memory escapes me. But I just want to say that Bailey, he embodies the youth, the passion of all these young rookies, pulling the rope. We're all pulling the rope at the same time. Sable, the guy's, he's playing out of position, but he's dynamic, man. He's a cousin of Troy I can't pronounce Polamalu. We got so much energy, man, and it was out there on the streets after the game. Across the street, across the Hotel Via, there's a little bar. There was a band playing AC McKinney. Give them a shout out to them. They'll be out there the 29th. We need more fans to come out after the game. They're just, I'm like 5'7", brown skinned, and there was like a 6'4" guy. One moment, I'll be out in a minute. They're trying to kick me out of here. But
Dave, you tell them you're talking to FP Santangelo, and you can stay as long as you want.
High fiving at the end of the song. Just want to say, Giants fans, I didn't get to the ghost story, but I'll call you back later tonight because I got to pick up my wife at midnight. But I'll let you get back to your call at the bottom of the hour.
All right, Dave. Thank you very much. The calls have been awesome tonight. The ghost story before, that was, but that wasn't good. But Dave is calling from a sushi place. He's had head injuries and he's drunk. We encourage our callers to have head injuries and to be drunk when you call the show. All right, enough of me talking. Let's talk to Marty Lurie on the other side of the break. I haven't talked to Marty on the show since May. I've seen him at the ballpark. We've hung out at Hotel Via. We've had a drink together after the game. Well, he doesn't drink. I had a drink with Marty Lurie after the game. So it's going to be nice to finally catch up with Marty after a long vacation from KNBR tonight. So on the other side of the break, Marty Lurie is State of the Giants on the Sports Leader.
Download the all-new KNBR app. Now, KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo continues live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix progressive jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, my first guest tonight, we haven't caught up since May on the air. We've seen each other at the ballpark a few times, but we figured at the All-Star break, the air quote halfway point of the season, we'd have him on to recap and kind of go over what's going on with the San Francisco Giants. So my good friend Marty Lurie joins the show. Marty, how we doing?
I'm doing great, FP. And remember, it's a dry heat. That's what we say down here in Arizona.
Wait, what's the weather like? Is it like 114?
Pretty close, maybe 109, 110. Yeah, it'll get to 114. They'll sneak up on you.
That's right.
As we like to say, it's a dry heat. Okay,
it's a dry heat. You can have that. When you go to either broadcast against the Diamondbacks or play against them, you don't even leave your hotel room. You can't even walk across street because you might just spontaneously combust. But we're at the halfway point. Marty, what are you thinking about this club? They're 49-41, 8 games over. They had a nice last game before the break with Logan Webb spinning a gem, the complete game shutout, 10K. The changeup was awesome. They take 2 out of 3 from the Diamondbacks. So they're having a nice All-Star break. Last year they were 12.5 games back of the All-Star break. This year they're 2.5 games back. So your thoughts on the first half for the San Francisco Giants?
Well, I think it's been very good. In May we kind of said on our show that they would be in first place by the end of June or July. And, they're a couple of games back of Arizona, so they're in good shape. 49-41, that's 90 games, there's 72 to go. And there's some things that are very evident to me, and that is that their bullpen is a lot better than any other bullpen in the National League West. And now when we start these games after the break, they're huge. This road trip is huge, and I think the fact that the Giants have a good pen, and Luke Jackson will be back soon, and Brebby will be back soon, and they're not overworked. They have a lot of innings because of the opener and the bulk guys, but basically they're in good shape, and to me, it's a game of bullpens now in Major League Baseball, so I think that's in good shape. They've got some injuries. Of course, Logan Webb is a winner, and he pitched a great game on Sunday, and you can just rely on him. He's got a lot of innings now, FP. He's at 125, 126, and he's heading for about 220 here. So we'll have to see what that does to him in the second half. But they have to get the offense going, and you can't rely on the kids completely. Matos, they're sort of leveling off on him. Bailey still gets a big hit here and there, but not, of course, the way it was when it all started. Schmidt is still searching for it. So you've got that going on. Strada's injury is a problem. So I think on these 3 weeks that are coming up, this road trip especially, they go into Pittsburgh. And this is a team that's a negative run differential. And they're okay at home, not great. Then they go into Cincinnati. And at some point, Cincinnati, which is really the story of Major League Baseball, probably along with the Orioles and maybe Tampa Bay in the first half of the season. But eventually it's going to catch up with the Reds. You just can't pitch the way they do and get 2 or 3 innings out of your starter and then have to use that bullpen all the time and rely on comebacks. So the Giants get them, and good pitching sometimes stops good hitting. So they're there. And again, negative run differential for the Cincinnati Reds. Then after that, it's off to Washington, your old stomping grounds. And they're not bad on the road, but at home they have not played well at all. And again, negative run differential there, and then a game in Detroit. So the team comes in as a strong team on this road trip, on these 11 games. And I think 7-4 is not unreasonable because you want to go into the trade deadline with a little bit of momentum because Farhan's got some work to do. He can add a starting pitcher, perhaps. He can go to the bullpen and do something there. But you got to get your team on the field, and that means the health of Conforto, Slater, Yastrzemski, Wade, people like that, Crawford. And that's going to determine a lot of what happens in the second half. But short answer for you, I think the first half has been terrific. I think they're in great shape. It's going to be a good baseball race for the next couple of months, and they're right there with the pitching, and they're playing decent baseball.
Talking to Marty Lurie, nice enough to join us tonight on KNBR Tonight. We haven't caught up with him since May, so it's good to hear his voice. Always good to hear Marty Lurie's voice. So you mentioned Farhan and starting pitching. Can they keep doing these bullpen games, Marty? Because, you think of a Game 5 in an NLDS or a Game 7 in a CS or the World Series. I don't see teams winning World Series and playoff games with an opener. Do you think they need another starter, and can this continue with the opener in the second half?
Well, I think they'll do it as long as they can, as long as it works. They're 11-3 in the 14 games where they've used an opener. So really, why change things now? But as you say, if you get to the point where you get in the playoffs, if you've got Webb and you've got Cobb, and then you have to figure it out after that, that is not an ideal scenario. So Farhan knows it. He says he wants a 1 or a 2. He's got a pocket full of guys, DeSclafani and Wood, people like that who are back into the rotation guys. What's going to happen with Minaya? Is Stripling going to be okay? That's why these 3 weeks coming up to the trade deadline are huge for me, because they have to figure out what they have with these other pitchers. Wood especially. He's a decent pitcher if you start him. Stripling had a good year last year, but you have to figure out what you have. And I think, frankly, if I'm Farhan, I'm going out and try to get a starting pitcher, whether it's Jordan Montgomery, whether it's Rodriguez from Detroit, whether it's Giolito. I mean, there are going to be a lot of people in the market here. Scherzer, Verlander could be up if the Mets come out of the break here and are not real strong. So if I'm Farhan, I'm looking for a pitcher. I would like to see one more starter, and then you can play around with the other spot in the rotation for the season. But if you get into the playoffs, you need somebody to go with Logan Webb. You need a guy to go with him.
Well, Alex Cobb just named to the All-Star team. I mean, he's been doing a great job when he's healthy this year, and that's a nice 1-2 punch. But I hear what you're saying, talking to Marty Lurie, nice enough to join us today. Okay, who's the first half MVP, position player, pitcher?
Well, I think it's Lamont Wade for me. He's fourth in Major League Baseball. This is not fourth on the team. Fourth in Major League Baseball in on-base percentage. They do so well in that first inning. They're always getting the other starter up to 20 pitches. A lot of it is what he does. And I think for me, he's the guy who really turned it around from day one in Yankee Stadium. You can make a great argument for Estrada as well. And I'll tell you something, you can make an argument for Bailey for what he gave the ball club after he came up. It was an absolute spark. The catching position was a disaster, really, in trying to get a good catcher and plus get some offense out of that position, and he filled the area for both. But I'll go with Lamont Wade, 404 on base percentage. He's played decent defense at first base, and for me, he'd be the guy. So who do you go with? Who's your guy?
Well, it was Tyro until he got hurt. I think Tyro's their best player, period, end of story. But then what Patrick Bailey has added to this team, I would have to lean toward him just because watching Logan Webb shutout the other day, and Bailey's already caught a shutout. It was 6 different pitchers in an opener game earlier in the season when he got called up. So he's caught a shutout. I think it was against the Brewers in Milwaukee. But this with your ace, and all of a sudden your ace and the guy that you signed to a 5-year, $90 million deal has confidence in you. And I watched the receiving. I didn't keep track of it, Marty, and I watched the game on tape again today, and I should have, but I thought about it too late, and my day got away from me. But it seemed to me that he stole at least double-digit strikes for Logan Webb with pitches that were outside the box. And when you talk about the value and the confidence that the staff has in him now, and I don't think it's talked about enough how these 50-50 balls, and some of them are not even close, and he's subtly pulling them back in the zone, especially the low pitch, catching the top half of the baseball and framing it up. But he takes the top of the zone, too, and he just knocks his glove down a little bit. So for me, what he's added, the stability behind the plate, the confidence in the pitching staff, and everybody wants to throw to this guy. He's by himself in a lot of different ways, beyond even the obvious, turn the season around for the Giants.
Yeah, I agree with you. And he frames every pitch. Every pitch. I don't care where it is. He pulls it into that strike zone, and it looks like a strike. So I agree with you on that. Pitching-wise, that's a good question, pitching-wise. I'd go with Webb because you have to have a guy. You have to have the guy you say, it's your day today. We're going to give you the ball, and you're going to give it back to us in the 7th or 8th inning. And we know, I don't care who the opponent is, that you can take care of business. And he has done that in his 19 starts, whatever he's made so far. So for me, he's the guy. But I want to tell you something. This Tyler Rogers.
Yeah, that's what you're talking to. You took my pick, but go ahead.
I'm telling you, this Tyler Rogers is just fabulous. And everything is soft contact. If you were playing second base, which you did, you'd be in action every time this guy got on the mound. Everything is soft contact to the right side. He shuts it down. Yeah, he got nicked a little bit here in the last week or so. But basically, no one has done anything to him. And he makes the game a 7-inning game. You're winning after 7, and what are they, like 36-2, leading after 7, and then you give it to the big guy, and he comes in and he just shuts the door, and there's something like 45-0 and leading after 8, something ridiculous like that. So when you bring those two guys in, it's huge. But for me, I want my ace. I want the guy, when I give him the ball in that big game, I know he's going to do it. And there's not going to be any question whether he's going to get knocked out in the 3rd inning or he's not going to pitch well and all that. So I'll stick with Webb.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to, especially with recency. His first complete game, a 10 strikeout, no walk. The changeup was ridiculous the other day. Hopefully there's something clicked there where he can repeat that, not that exact performance, but that changeup, slider, fastball command combination was just lights out. And, yeah, I mean, whatever. I'll go with Camilo Doval. There's so many choices there. I really like Alex Cobb. I got to know him during FanFest this year, Marty, and I talk about him all the time. He's a great person, and he gets it in so many ways. And his quotes the other day after throwing to Patrick Bailey, how he threw 6 shutout, and it had to do with the catcher and how much confidence he had in him. Just really, really good stuff from a veteran guy, and it's so cool to see him. And he wanted to make the All-Star team, too. That's been a goal of his, and it's been taken away a few years because of injuries and whatever. So it's cool to see him in Seattle. I'm excited to see him pitch tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. So, here's the point. When you can name 7 or 8 guys and make an argument for every one of them as the best hitter, best defender, best pitcher, whatever you want to say, when you can make that kind of argument, that means the team's winning. That's what you want, and that's exactly where they are today. And I think it's a good example of this discussion of picking the team apart a little bit. Look, when Schmidt came up, it was huge what he did. When he came up and the spark that he gave this ball club, that it was just unbelievable. It's huge what Beck has done coming out of the bullpen. Minaya now has a spot. He's got that. But, the point is these 3 weeks are tough weeks coming out of the break. You've got to get your momentum going again. You got a long road trip. These other teams, they're getting ready to get their golf dates down that you're playing. But still, they can set up their rotation. They're playing at home. Weather could be a factor here for the next couple of weeks. So this is a tough test for the Giants.
One guy we didn't mention, Marty, and I think he had a really good first half, and it was the glue of the infield, is J.D. Davis, and the improvements he made defensively, and nobody saw that coming. I mean, he was an okay third baseman, wasn't great, wasn't bad. He was okay over there. He did a lot of hard work with Kai Correa, and all of a sudden he's playing gold glove caliber third base. That was VR's job in spring training. Remember the headlines in Scottsdale? It's his job, and they just anointed him the next third baseman. That didn't work out. So you're talking about who's our third baseman right now? Casey Schmidt wasn't ready back then. So all of a sudden, here comes J.D. Davis, a platoon guy historically with the Mets and last year with the Giants. Now he becomes an everyday guy. He's a threat at the plate. He hit the home run that was the difference yesterday and playing a gold glove third base. So I feel like he needs a mention too.
Absolutely terrific. Terrific defender. He's been just the arm is just unbelievable.
It is.
He just throws a rocket to first base. The thing about him, and why it wasn't a complete shock to me, after getting to know him a little bit in spring training, realize how solid he is as a person. He was like 3rd or 4th in all of baseball with exit velocity of hard hit balls. And for me, this guy, when he takes a swing, forget it. And he can make up for a lot of ground when he's behind a pitch and take it to right field. So the fact that he can hit the ball so hard has been a tremendous plus for him. Now, he's never played the full season before. He's always been injured. He was with the Mets. He got traded and all that. So for him, he says he's a little tired now. They got to be careful with him and maybe give Flores a little bit more playing time. at third base so you don't wear JD down.
The biggest difference between the team, they were 48 and 43 at the break last year, 12.5 back. They're 49 and 41 this year, 2.5 back. And if you just get into those numbers, it doesn't tell the story. To me, the story of the first half of the season, the Giants this year, they're playing good defense. They did not play good defense last year. Their infield play, whether it's Schmidt or even Wisely at second base or JD, Lamont Wade Jr. at first has played way better than I thought he would. Their infield defense, you put Patrick Bailey behind the plate. Their outfield defense has been good, too. So, to me, the nutshell story of the first half, obviously the bullpen's a big one. But the defense, last year it was tough to watch. This year it's fun to watch.
Well, it's okay. I'm not going to get excited about it yet. They still lead the world in errors. They'll throw the ball over the cutoff man. You know, balls will drop in the outfield, pop-ups will drop, and all this kind of stuff. Wade is really still learning the position at first base. And there's very tough plays with first and third, and a ball hit to him. He's got to figure out what to do. So it hasn't killed him, but it's not great yet. And they're going to have to play better defense in the second half. So what's the difference? And you point out the two records. You know what the difference is?
What?
The division.
Oh, yeah.
The Dodgers are a work in progress. They're 1 through 5. They're fabulous. Fabulous. Look at Mookie Betts and Will Smith and Freeman and Muncy, and whatever they're going to do, it happens for them, and they're going to get their pitching together. Urias is back, so basically things are going to happen for them, but they have not put it together yet. And Arizona needs pitching desperately. They need bullpen help desperately. They've got some injuries, so there's no real tremendous confidence in them. So the Giants are in good position in the division. And look at San Diego. The argument is who's having the worst season? San Diego, the Cardinals, or the Mets. And how about that situation? Now, San Diego's got hot lately, and they have to come out of the break in these 3 weeks and do something to get back into this race. Same thing for the Mets. There's pressure on these teams that are sort of bubble teams. The Marlins coming out of the break have to see what they're going to do. They're leading the wild card right now. Can they do it for another 70 games, 72 games? They've got over 50 wins already. They go 500 in the second part of this season here. They're going to have 88 to 90 wins. And no one's going to touch Atlanta, but that could put them in the wild card. So the Giants have to watch that. The Phillies are streaking now, where they're 24 out of 32, something like that. The Giants have their hands full, but they can win the division. That's the difference this year. They're in great shape for a wild card. I still believe they're going to be better than Milwaukee and Cincinnati, and I'm not a believer yet in the Marlins in the long run. But they can possibly win this division, and that's the exciting part. That's for me, that's the thing that they have to go for in the second half. Not be satisfied with the wild card, but go right at the Dodgers and go right at Arizona.
Who would have thought that in December when everybody was turning in their season tickets and saying they weren't going to watch a game this year because they didn't sign Aaron Judge? That guy's been hurt for a month and a half with his toe. Carlos Correa hasn't been Carlos Correa this year. He's hitting more double plays than anybody. So, I mean, when you're talking about, careful what you wish for, I just think it's been a fun watch. They've been an exciting team. This area is really excited about the Giants again.
Yeah, they're winning. They're winning, and they're winning late. They're coming back. And if they're down by 2 runs or 3 runs in the 7th inning, they're in it. And they come back. They grind it out. So, they had a little bit of a streak here where they're not grinding out those at-bats. And now they've got to come out of the break rested and go back to the way they played in June. All right, now here's the elephant in the room. What if the Angels say, hey,
no,
we came out of, where I'm going here.
Yeah.
The Angels say, look, we came out of the break and we're 6-13 coming out of the break. There's no way we're going to catch Houston or Texas. The American League East has put everybody away. Otani's going to walk. Make an offer for Otani. If I'm the Giants, I'm first in line. And I'll say this. I said it on the show this weekend, and I tweeted it out today. He fills every need you want. You got to take a risk in life sometimes. And, yes, he could be Beltran, and it may not happen. You could give up a couple of prospects that turn out to be stars. Yes, but what this guy could do to your team, he could take this Giants team as a team that, yeah, they may get in the playoff. Yeah, they're going to fight the Dodgers down the stretch. and he could turn him into a champion. And I would give up, you name it, in the farm system. I would give up just about anybody, a couple of players. I wouldn't give Bailey up. But in the farm system, you watch the draft last night, and you read about it today. Every guy they drafted is ready for the Hall of Fame. Everyone. Oh, the two-way player, can't wait to get him. He's going to be great. The left-handed pitcher, he's going to be great. That's the story of baseball. It's trading prospects. It's like having a printing press with money. And that's what you do in baseball. You trade prospects. And if they could get Otani, I don't care what they want in prospects, I do it.
Well, I disagree with you in the sense that you can get them in the offseason, and you won't have to give up prospects.
Yeah,
you just have to pay
now.
for them.
You can win now. How many times, FP, did you have a chance to go to the World Series?
Once.
Yeah, and you want – look, it doesn't happen that often. You've got a shot to get in this thing and make some noise here.
But I love this talk right now, and we're getting toward the end of the interview. But it's a good conversation to have. But you're going to have to give up everybody. Kyle Harrison, Casey Schmidt.
You have to give up everybody.
For Otani, you're going to have to give up everybody. It's going to be like the Juan Soto trade, but this guy's way better than Juan Soto. It's a generational talent. You would pillage somebody's entire minor league system. Just pay $600 million for him next year, and you'll have him. I don't. The reason the fan base is excited right now is because these young players, and we see a future here. If you're going to trade away that future for a guy that's not even controllable, that you're going to have to sign in the off. He could run to the Dodgers in the off season for more money, and you have him for 3 months and you pillage your system. There's no way I'm trading for Otani. No way.
Pillage is a very strong word.
Pillage.
You don't want to pillage.
You're going to pillage.
You don't want to pillage. Pillage is not good in life. You don't want to pillage anything, but you could give up part of your farm. You could give up 3 players.
No, for Otani, Marty, come on. You're giving up 6 or 7, and they're all your best ones. That's the best player in a generation. He's a pitcher and a hitter. There's no way. I'll agree to disagree with my friend, Marty Lurie.
All right, let's see what the market is. But look, it's a big if, and they may not want to do it. But if they want to do it, I'm talking.
It's a good show topic that we're going to talk about after this. I love I love baseball conversation. This is great
I'm telling
stuff.
you, if he's out there, I'm taking a risk. They did it with Beltran for Zach Wheeler in a different kind of situation. But you take this shot when you can do it, and they got a chance here to do something special, and they can. So I take my chances, and if it's a rental, so be it. And if he comes here and likes San Francisco and they can get him for next year, he's here. And so that's my argument on it.
I love it.
All right.
I actually don't love it, but whatever. It's good talk anyways. Marty, we got to run, man. Thanks for coming on. Stay cool in Arizona. Don't walk outside. You might melt.
Remember, it's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat. Marty Lurie, thanks for coming on, man. Great to hear your voice.
Take care.
All right, let's expand on that. What do you guys think? 808 KNBR. Is Marty right or am I right? Would you trade the farm system for Otani right now? Or would you wait till he's a free agent and pay $500 million, $600 million, whatever it is? 808 KNBR. Would you trade all the people we're excited about right now for Otani, and then you have nothing if he walks at the end of the year? Or would you trade everything for Otani and have a parade on Market Street potentially, and then he walks at the end of the year? I guess you could sign him if you get him here. But there's no guarantee. Get him here and say, well, the Mets have offered him $700 million. There's no guarantee. So 808 KNBR, we'll do some Otani talk, some trade talk. What do you think the Giants should do at the trade deadline? Next on The Sports Leader.
This is the flagship of Giants baseball. Double play! KNBR and KNBR FM San Francisco, the Sports Leader. KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo. Now continues. Follow us on Twitter at KNBR. This is KNBR 1045 and 680, the sports leader.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is your home run derby champ for 2023. So applause to Vlad's son. Little chubby kid that used to run around the clubhouse in Montreal eating ice cream after the games just won the home run derby. So that's super cool. He is on the podium right now accepting his award. So his dad won it in, 2007 when the All-Star game was at, AT&T Park back then? I was there for that. It was really cool. I mean, you couldn't even get around the warning track behind home plate. It was so crowded with media. It was just, there was way too many media members there. Now Vlad Jr. wins it. Super cool. Very cool. I'm glad that Vlad Jr. won it. He's finished second a few times. But the question at hand right now is, you just heard that interview with Marty Lurie. Marty knows a lot about baseball. He's one of my best friends. And sometimes friends, like over a beer at a bar or on the radio and 50,000 watts, can disagree about something. I totally disagree with Marty on this, and usually we agree on like 98% of things. I don't think you trade everyone, like he said, away for Otani. I'm a huge Shohei fan, like huge. And that's just recently, since the World Baseball Classic. And he showed that he has this desire and this fight to win. Not that, I just didn't pay that much attention to. Maybe it's always been there, but that's when I realized it. And, the home runs and what he's doing right now with the pitching, the home runs, and how great a play. He's two players in one. Like, not just two players, two really good freaking players in one. And would you just go all in for this right now? And then the phone lines are lighting up, and I'm seeing you there, and I want to get your opinions on this. Like, you can agree with Marty. You don't have to call in and always agree with me. Sometimes it's better radio if you disagree. But right now he's got 32 homers, hitting 302. 32 home runs. 32 home runs hitting 302. He's driven in 71. What's his pitching record? How do you even look at this on Baseball Reference? Like, he's 5-4? No, that's his last 5 games pitching. I don't know. Wait. I'll figure out his record here real time. Let's go to the phones while I look at my computer a little bit more. Would you trade all these young people that we're excited about right now? I think Patrick Bailey's and Kyle Harrison are untouchable. Maybe Casey Schmidt. I would love, and this is just me riffing on the air, and I'm just a dork at night, sports talk radio, I say it all the time. I would love to see Casey Schmidt play every day. Just put him at second base right now. Who cares if it's right on right? Who cares if, like Brett Wisely, play Casey Schmidt. He's at least going to make every single freaking play and some great ones. He probably will run into one. He's hit right-handers his whole life. I know the stats don't indicate it. I know he's swinging freely. But, like, if the other option is Wisely, don't you think maybe Casey Schmidt should get a real long look at second base in the second? Just my take. I could be way off on this. And what do I know? Let's go to Alberto in Hayward. Alberto, you are on KNBR, the sports leader.
Hey, how's it going, FP? Thank you. First-time caller here.
Oh, yeah. Pour him a beer, Ref.
Chime in about Shohei, and I totally agree with you. I don't think we should sell the farm system just for, potential rental. Yeah, he might sign, but that risk is too high. And I come from a different angle. Games are won on the field and off the field, I think. And, it's Crawford's clubhouse. He runs that clubhouse very well, and I think there's no hierarchy for the young bucks. And I think that's why they're playing so well. Bringing in a big fish like that, I think that can offset inside the clubhouse and, potentially how these young bucks perform. Maybe that hierarchy kind of.
Ooh, you know what, Alberto? I think those days are over, to be honest with you. From what I hear, and I'm not in clubhouses, but I'm around these guys. Like, Otani's supposed to be a wonderful dude. And that whole hierarchy thing where you have to tiptoe around the high-paid guys and the veterans, that doesn't exist anymore. It's like, we're all in this together. Kumbaya, let's hug it out. Let's go win. Whether you're a rookie that just got called up or you're a 12-year veteran, that whole dynamic of the clubhouse has changed.
All right, fair enough. I've been in a lot of clubhouses when I was growing up, and, there were some that were kind of oddballs, but, just my own thoughts.
No. What clubhouses have you been in?
Oh, no, I'm talking about, like, high school.
Oh,
and,
all right.
Yeah, so
I thought maybe you're like you work for a team or something. But yeah, that's a good point you bring up, and that's the way it used to be back in the day. But now it's just like, if you can help us win, Let's go, baby. I don't care how much time you have in the big leagues.
Excellent. Well, thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling, dude. Don't be a stranger. That was a great first call ever on KNBR. Great job. I love new callers. And I remember Pharrell, when he was hosting the show, used to pour a new caller a beer. And last time I was here in 2010, if we got a new call, it was a tradition that we just poured him a beer, the sound effect of a beer on the air. So we got to bring that back. You'll find, I'm just putting Raph on the spot right now. He's like an octopus back there with all these calls. Let's go to Mo in San Francisco. Mo, you're on KNBR. What do you say about Otani?
Good evening, FB, also a first-time caller.
What do you say about Otani? Excuse me.
Susan Slusher earlier today said she'd give up the farm for Otani. I'm just saying, I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just saying that she said that. Whether she means
what does
it or
she
not, I don't
know? No, she's one of my dear friends like Marty. So I that's 2 against 1. Maybe I'm wrong here, and I've been wrong before.
The question is as the team is presently constituted, can they make the playoffs? And is that enough? Once they're in the playoffs, who knows what can happen? Do they have to go, or can they get somebody like, you're giving up prospects. There are prospects. They have potential, but you have a guy who is a proven superstar. Is it worth it? I think it is, to get them past just the playoffs and get into a world championship, if that's what the goal is for this club. And then after this season, who the hell knows? I mean, maybe he loves it here. He sees that he got to the postseason with this club, and he loves the club, and he wants to come back to the club. And maybe that's an audition for him for next year. I don't really know.
What if he flies out to Triples Alley 17 times while he's here and says, "I'm going to somewhere where the ball carries better"? Like that's such a gamble mode, like to mortgage the future on a guy for 2.5 months.
Well, what are you going to mortgage? That's the question. I mean, who are you really giving up? I don't think Marty's right when he says only like 3 people. I think that's going to be
a lot. It's going to be Kyle Harrison. Kyle Harrison has to be involved in this trade.
Well, I don't mind giving up Kyle Harrison, and I don't mind giving up Blake Sobel, and I don't mind giving up Brett Wisely. I don't mind giving up those guys. I wouldn't give up Schmidt, and I wouldn't give up Bailey.
Well, you're going to have to give up a lot to get him. That's Shohei Otani. Like that's not just a good. It's not a good player. That's the best player in the big leagues right now.
And a lot of teams are going to up the ante. Yeah, that's for sure. But I'm mixed about it. I'd love to see him here. I think he'd catapult the team this year into the championships. But then after that, what do you have? So it's a gamble. It's a big gamble.
It's a gamble, Mo. You might lose more games than you win next year if you trade all these kids that have gotten this region so excited about the team.
It's about all the kids. I don't know how many kids you have. I mean, it depends on what the other teams are going to be offering him and how much you have to compete with the other teams in their farm system. So I don't know where we stand with that. We have some good pitching prospects. We have some good, infield prospects. So that we have stuff that we can offer. Now the question is that going to be enough or too much?
Mo, I'm kind of being hypocritical right now in the sense that if they did trade for him, I'd be super excited. I'm just trying to think I'm trying to think rationally, the 20,000-foot view on this thing, and look at big picture in the future. If you can sign him to the contract that you would have signed him in the offseason, and you trade him for a lot of prospects, okay. I might come around to it. I'm still not real sure about it. I'm not 100% sure about it. But if you just pay $600 million for him in the offseason and keep Casey Schmidt and Patrick Bailey and Kyle Harrison and whoever the hell you want to talk about, Ryan Walker, Wynn, all these guys. There's so many good young players for this team, and that's why we're all so excited about this team that I would hate to see. Those guys forgot more baseball in you and I's call right now than we'll ever know down there that do this for a living. We just talk about it on radio. So they'll make the right decision. I just think it's super dangerous to trade everybody for one player.
Well, they have to pursue it though, right?
Pursue it's one thing. I mean, you could dangle some lines in the water, but the Angels aren't going to bite on guys like, well, I don't want to say names, but that aren't the marquee names. They're not. They're trying to do what the Nationals did with Juan Soto and replenish a whole minor league system and make that franchise win for a long time. And they know they're not going to get anything for Otani in the offseason. So the way they would address the trade in my mind would be like, okay, if I can get these guys and these guys only from whatever team, and I have a list of your top prospects, and you're willing to part with your top prospects, then okay. But I'm not just trading him. I have to crush the trade if I'm the Angels.
No, I hear. Well, let's leave Otani aside for a second. What do they need to do? They need to still leave. I think Marty's right in that they need a starter. And then, will that be enough to carry them, where they need to go?
And then Mo, you have to ask, am I willing to give up prospects for an okay starter? Then that's the next level, because everybody needs starting pitching. And you went out and signed 7 of them. You got 7 starters. And it's obvious they need another starter, because I don't think openers are going to win you a World Series. I don't. I think it works during the regular season for a while. I don't know if these guys are going to run out of gas in September or not. I think they need another starter. That'd be cool. But I'm going to give up really good young players for a starter for a couple of months that may or may not be good. So that's it's hard. I've been privy to information on the inside before with general managers and front offices during the trade deadline, and the things we talk about are not even near what's really going on behind the scenes. You'll hear rumors with Ken Rosenthal and Buster Olney, and you'll read it on Twitter, and they'll talk about a team, and I'll talk to the general manager we haven't even talked to that team about that guy. I don't know what they're reporting. So it gets wild, and it's fun for us. I love to talk about it. But as far as what, if you're Farhan, what you're willing to do here, I wouldn't be surprised if they just I don't know. Tommy Edmonds, the guy, he's on the DL with a wrist injury right now, but he to me would be like a Christian McCaffrey type player. He can play second base. He can play any infield position. He's played center field this year. He's done a really good job. He's a tough out at the plate. He's only hitting 237 right now, but I don't care. He's a winning baseball player. That would be a guy I would go after.
So you're going away from pitching then?
Yeah, I need him. I need a middle infielder right now because of Tyro.
Why?
Tyro's hurt.
But Wisely is a good enough second baseman.
Defensively, he is, but he's hitting 180 or something like that.
Okay, so this guy's hitting 237.
But he's an established big leaguer that can play. He's a winning baseball player. He's a good player. Trust me on that.
But okay, I'll just say you got to give up something to get something. That's all I'll say for now.
All right. Well, I agree, Mo. Good call, Mo. I love it. I love the conversation. Thanks for calling. Let's go to Dan.
All right. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for calling, Mo. Let's go to Dan in San Luis Obispo. I love SLO, dude. Do you live in SLO?
Yes, sir.
Dude, I'm jealous right now. You know what's cool? My daughter went to SLO, and every time I go down there, I'm like, why don't you just live here? And they're like, well, there's no jobs down here, Dad. That's why everybody goes to college here, and they have to leave. I'm like, but it's so cool. Find a job here. This is the greatest place in the world. So, and one of my great friends, Jerry Weinstein, lives down there, too. Wonderful place.
Yeah, it's a great town. It's a great place to live. Grew up in the Bay Area and went to school down here and stayed, kind of like you're talking about.
Good for you, dude. What do you want? What do you think about the Otani thing?
Well, it's really interesting to hear Marty's take on it. But when you think about the Angels, they've had him for how many years, and look where they are. We've got 3 championships, and when you look at the formula that we've used, it's really good starting pitching, timely hitting, and good defense. And some luck thrown in. So, maybe if we're going to, trade some single-A guys or guys that are a few years off to get Otani, which it doesn't sound like the Angels would do that, but to mortgage the guys that are just knocking on the door for one guy doesn't seem like a very good idea.
No, you're going to have to trade a couple of big league guys, an Austin Slater, a Joey Bart, and then some really big prospects, like 4 or 5 more, to get this guy. And it's good. Why? For a couple of months? Unless you have a contract ready and he says, I'll sign it, and it's a 10-year deal for $600 million, and it's $60 million a year, and then you keep him for 10 years, then I may think about it, but I still... It's weird, Dan, because I'm changing my take on this. I used to be like, I want parades over prospects, and when you're talking about a kid from A-ball, how do I know he's going to be anything when he gets here? But seeing the fruits of all the labor of the Giants minor league system, all the instructors down there, all the scouts, the development, and how they've made these kids big leaguers and how we're all so excited about them, I've kind of changed my take on it lately based on Casey Schmidt, based on Patrick Bailey, based on Blake Sable as a Rule 5 pick. I'm starting to dig the kids, and I'm seeing that, and I just... Otani's amazing. I'd be so excited if he's a Giant next year. I just don't think you trade for him this year.
Yeah, I agree, FP. And that's a great point I never really thought of, is all the guys that were involved in bringing these guys along that are just hitting now, like Schmidt and Bailey. they probably, put all their heart and soul into it and have a lot of pride in seeing these guys be part of their organization, and just to trade a bunch of them away for a guy to rent for a few months, that might be a bad thing long term also.
Yeah, Dan, I'm going to let you go, Dan. That was a really good call, man. Don't be a stranger to the show. And I'm gonna expand on that. You're gonna get me going down a road that I went down a couple of weeks ago, and I got a lot of the callers liked it. And what I talked about, and I'm gonna blow up the clock here, Raph. I'm gonna go on a little tangent now, is how the minor leagues work, and how there's a couple of A-ball teams, and as a player, you really have to do something to stand out to get from San Jose to Eugene, from low A-ball to high A-ball. And then like two A-ball teams bottleneck into a double A team, and then you get to double A, and you have to do something to stand out there. A-ball is a bunch of grenade launchers that throw 97 miles an hour. You really don't know where it's going. They're off speeds willy-nilly. They haven't locked in yet. How you graduate to the next level as a pitcher from A-ball to double A is you show you have command of the strike zone with all your pitches, not just a fastball, not just a slider, not just a changeup, but all of them. So a really tough jump is to get out of A-ball. If you get out of A-ball, you're on your way. But then when you get to double A, for me, that was the hardest jump ever. Getting to double A, now pitchers all throw 97. They know where it's going. They got a slider and a curve to go with it, change up, split, whatever. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, how do I get out of double A? Everybody's a prospect here. Everybody's the best of the best in double A. They're all young and they're all ready to get to the big leagues. You're real close when you're at double A. So you have to show that you're better than that level to get to triple A, whatever better means. Batting average, your attitude, the way you approach the game, your work ethic, the teammate that you are, a winning player, a prospect. If you're a non-prospect, you got to work twice as hard. Then you get to AAA. AAA level is a bunch of big leaguers coming back and a bunch of double A players going up. And then you all meet together. Everybody that's coming back has a story. The manager hates me. The organization that released me didn't like me. Everybody has a story of why they're not in the big leagues. It can be a cancerous place if you have enough veterans that feel like they don't belong there, and you have enough young players that are on their way up. So that mixture of where the ocean hits the river is kind of AAA, and it's tricky for managers. It's tricky for the organization to keep your younger players positive and super excited about getting the big leagues and keeping them away from guys that are bitter and have a story. Everybody has a story in AAA. Why they're not in the big leagues. Everybody. I'm getting screwed. This guy hates me. This GM hates me. This coach hates me. And whatever. I deserve to be there. Everybody has a story in AAA. So how you get from AAA to the big leagues is need. You're a prospect. You're on the 40-man roster. Boom, you go. Or you just force your way in. Like Luis Matos did. You force your way. There's opportunity. Boom. You knock down the door. And you get to the big leagues. But it's a long road. It's a hard road. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. And that's where the development staff comes in. That's where hitting coaches in A-ball, which I did for a couple of years with the San Jose Giants, come in, where it's tireless work. You get there at noon. You leave at midnight. You're managing personalities, you're coaching personalities, you're a counselor, and you're trying to get guys to get to the next level, and you're telling them, hey, you think you're working hard, you're not working hard. This is how you get to double A. You have to stand out. There's 24 other guys on your team. What are you going to do if I'm a scout in the stands and make me think you're a big leaguer? And you have to stand out. You have to do something to show that you're better than the level you're at. The managers are making $40,000 a year, maybe. I made $30,000 as a hitting coach with the Giants. $30,000 a year as a hitting coach. And I couldn't make a living out of it, so that's why I got into broadcasting. But those guys have a thankless job, and their reward is when they see their guys get to the big leagues. When they see their guys that they coached and they put all this time into as a manager, as a pitching coach, as a hitting coach, get to the big leagues. Like, that's their reward. It's not about money. And hopefully, as a coach, you get there too someday. And I'm repeating the story that Felipe Alou pulled me aside in Scottsdale, my first day as a hitting coach for the San Jose Giants. He said, Frankie, he always called me Frankie. He said, Frankie, I'm going to tell you, make sure your players, one rule, make sure your players get there before you. The biggest mistake minor league coaches make is they want to get there before their players. They have an agenda. He goes, if your players get there before you, A, you're doing your job, and B, it'll be satisfying when you walk into a major league clubhouse as a coach for the first time that you had something to do with everybody in that clubhouse. It's the best coaching advice I ever got. And I would sit in these meetings back in the old days, and I don't know what the Giants minor league system is like, where you saw coaches with agendas. You saw coaches kissing ass. You saw coaches that had an agenda, that were MFing other people, that were saying bad things about backstabbing other people, that wanted to get there, and they would say bad things about people. And it was such a little drama thing that was going on in this long room in Scottsdale with a long table, and we're all sitting in our Giants uniforms, and we're going over players. I'm just sitting there going, oh, are you kidding me? This guy's so full of crap, and this guy's so full of himself, and this guy's a self-promoter. It's kind of why I got out of coaching. to be honest with you. But if you're in a right organization, I feel like the Giants minor league system is that right now. As a coach, I mean, you're putting in all these hours. You're riding all these buses. You're staying in all these crappy hotels. In AAA, you're getting them at 5 in the morning to catch a 6 o'clock flight to fly everywhere in hopes that your guys get to the big leagues. Maybe someday you get there, but I would guarantee if you polled 100 minor league coaches, 90 of them would say it's more about the kids than me, if they're being 100% honest with a lie detector test. So when we talk about these prospects and we talk about these trades, these are real people that the Giants invested a lot of time in to develop. And they need to be applauded. The fact that Casey Schmidt could just walk up to the big leagues and make these plays on a daily basis. The fact that Patrick Bailey, who's been a catcher since he was like 4 years old, can come up and command a major league staff and have that staff have confidence in him at this level. And you're seeing guys like Ryan Walker and Wynn and name all these guys that have come up this year, probably leaving some out. Blake Sable. Like applause to these people who dedicate their life to these kids getting in the major leagues. And the best coach I ever had in the minor leagues was Felipe Alou, and he taught us how to be men more than baseball players. He taught us to be accountable. He taught us to be honest. He taught us to be stand-up people, and that the rest would take care of itself. So when we sit here and we talk about trades like these are people in they're pawns in a chess thing, yeah, they are. I mean, to some extent, and I think we know that as baseball players. But in the big picture, in the big scheme of things, why are you as a San Francisco Giant fan this excited about this team right now? I guarantee you if I polled all you guys, 95% of you would say it's because of the kids that got called up. So now when we're talking about Otani, kind of trying to tie this whole Celsius-driven rant and caffeine rant together, is that you want to lose the reason that we're happy and excited about this team? I know Otani's good, but just sign him. Just open the checkbook in the offseason and just add a piece here. Add a Cody Ross. Add a Pat Burrell. Just add one of those guys. Those guys are the glue guys that make the difference. Cody Ross won you a damn World Series basically by himself. Like, those are the trade deadline deals that I've seen work. When the Giants got rid of Gerardo Parra and he went to D.C., he won those guys a damn World Series just by changing the atmosphere in the clubhouse, about showing people that you can have fun, still work hard, win, and then if you lose, it's not the end of the world and you don't have to walk around with your head down. You just, flush it. And his whole vibe changed a whole season and won a whole region a championship. So when we're talking about trading 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 guys for Shohei Otani, for what? For what? I mean, okay, I personally have changed my total attitude on prospects versus parades. If the prospects are going to make us as Giants fans feel like we have and giving us this amazing feeling the first half of the season, then I want to see them keep playing. I love watching young kids run around. The reason the Diamondbacks are tied for first place right now is a bunch of young kids running around. It's a young man's game. It is. 22, 23, 24, 25. That's what I want to see run around. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the veterans. Alex Cobb's an all-star for the first time. He's 36 years old. That's a great freaking story. He's a wonderful human being that I wish you all could know like I do. He's an awesome dude, and I'm so happy for him. But, if you want to be good for a long time, it's about the young players. And if you start trading young players for a rent-a player, even if it's the greatest player of our generation, Otani, then you get him for a couple of months, and then somebody offers him a shinier car, and then he goes, then what? Then we're sitting here 808 KNBR. The Giants, they suck. They've lost 100 games this year. Yeah, so you got to look at the big picture in this thing. And I think we've all learned that with what happened in the offseason. All right, I'm getting too preachy right now. If you're on hold, stay right there. I'll get to your calls. There's so many people on hold. I'll get to your calls next on the Sports Leader.
Download the all-new KNBR app. Now, KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo continues live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix progressive jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Ocho KNBR is the number if you want to talk to Frank Paul. 408 chiming in. FP, that caffeine rant was the best segment in my KNBR listening experience. I go back to Frank Dill, fantastic insights. Thank you. I kind of recycled one from the other night. But yeah, I don't think fans know a lot about the minor league system, what it goes into, how much work it takes to get to one level to another and to get all the way to the freaking big leagues from A-ball. It's really hard. I think it's like 1 in 300 players or something like that once you already sign a professional contract. It might be even more than that. So, yeah, Otani's about to get a massive payday. 321 chiming in. Let me read some of these text messages before I get the phones. Hang on over there for a second. 208 chiming in. Marty is wrong with this one. Bad business. I agree. Doesn't mean I don't love Marty. I can just agree with my friends all the time. 602 FP will become a certified MLB agent just so you can negotiate Otani's next gazillion-dollar deal instead of Boris. I'd love to do that. I mean, I'm kind of douchey anyways. I put on a suit. I grow my beard a little bit longer. Show me the money, baby. No, I don't want to be an agent. I like what I'm doing. I'm perfectly happy where I'm at. 408 chiming in. Otani will never come to San Francisco no matter the money. We were number 3 of West Coast teams he considered on his first contract, no trade. If you would have said that in the beginning of the year, I would have agreed with you. My take on whether the Giants sign Otani in the offseason was the Giants need to win. He got a taste of winning the World Baseball Classic. He's never won as an Angel. And the Giants had to win this year, still have to win this year, for them to be attractive to Otani. Money aside. Like, I don't think Shohei cares about poop on the sidewalk. I really don't. I don't think he cares about those hot dog stands, by the way. Those hot dog stands, they leave. When I jog on the Embarcadero, the hot dog stands leave so much like dark crap on the sidewalk, like this greasy film. That's what you need to do. Everyone's worried about the homeless problem in San Francisco. You need to have the vendors with those sausage stands or whatever they are. I don't know, somewhere on the actual street. I mean, I don't want them to get hit by a car or anything, but like the residue or whatever from the barbecue just ruins the sidewalk. I don't even think a power washer could help. I don't even think like a level 5 hurricane could help. A tsunami could not get this stuff up. Yeah, okay. That's the caffeine talking again. The full phone lines right now. Let me make sure I clean up the text lines. You guys have been amazing tonight. I agree with you, FP. Do not trade away young talent to get a rental. And even though I love Otani, my answer is still no, and double no. I'm with you. I agree, FP. Do not trade away the young talent to get a rental. And even though I love Otani, my answer is still no. Hey, wait, I just read that one. Okay. Tighten it up. Hey, FP, other sports do sign-in trades. Do baseball teams do that? That you can. I would say a lot of players don't want to negotiate a contract in the heat of battle. Like, there's nothing worse than like playing a game and then going home and your agent calls and you're doing a contract and you go play a game. Not that I would know. I'm just assuming. I never had to worry about that problem. Can you guys please give me a job? I'll just take any job. I still do that as a broadcaster. Adam, you're on, 680 right now. Adam, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, FP. Hey, real quick, I agree with you completely about not trading for Otani, but I thought it was even cooler that you gave Jerry the Godfather a shout-out on your radio show.
Gary Radnich?
Jerry the Godfather.
Okay.
No, Jerry.
Oh, Jerry Weinstein, of course, yes.
Weinstein. Yep.
He lives in SLO, and he called me. He called me during a commercial break tonight. I was talking to him praying about, how'd you know it was a commercial? He's like, I didn't. Yeah, he's one of the biggest influences in my life. Period. Jerry Weinstein. He used to be the head baseball coach at Sac City for all those years. He's worked in the Rockies organization. He was the manager of the Modesto Nuts for a while, and he's still a catching instructor with the Rockies. An amazing human being.
Yeah, he's the godfather of catching. Great wisdom.
Yes.
But with Otani, I'm telling you, man, Farhan came here with a plan. He's got the payroll down. I mean, all these young guys are on their minor league deals. We can afford to have Otani and them. There's no reason to give up anybody. Even if we could win now, I like what I'm seeing with the young guys. Let them play. We're in the fight. And when it comes to October, if you're in the fight, it's really who's hot going in. And I think we've got a great shot.
Adam, it's how you're playing in September, and I've said that a few times recently. Like right now, tread water, 10 games over, get through July, get through August, get hot in September, and the hot team always they make the run. How you're playing the last 2 weeks of the season, as long as you have a spot secured, or maybe even you're playing for a spot, who cares? Like you're playing high intensity games that just you kind of roll into the playoffs, and the teams that win their division by 15 games, they can't hit the gas again. They hit the brakes, they throttle down. It's like, oh, it's time to play games that count again, and they usually can't throttle up, and that's why you see a team like the Dodgers get ousted in the first round.
I can't disagree with you at all on that. That's great knowledge.
Adam, thanks for calling, dude. You sound familiar. Do I know you?
Nope, never met.
Okay, well, thanks for calling, dude. Don't be a stranger to the show. Good job, and I wish I had your voice. Let's go to Betty in Benicia. Betty, you're on KNBR. What's going on, Betty?
Hello, hi.
Hi, Betty. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Listen, I agree with you about Otani, and I he is good, but I don't think it's worth getting rid of our own people we have now. And the other thing, I really honestly believe there's somebody out there. There's a rookie out there. There's somebody out there that's really good, or nobody has ever noticed or want to notice yet. I really believe that. There's somebody out there that we don't have to pay that kind of money out. Just get him in the team and give him a chance.
Betty, in 2010, nobody around here knew anything about Cody Ross. I knew something about him because he was friends with one of my ex-teammates, and he played for the Diamondbacks, and I loved his little crow hop after he hit a home run. I thought he had swagger, and he was cocky, and he was a little guy that hit for power, so I did know a little bit about him before he came to the Giants. But nobody around here knew anything about Cody Ross, and he was a difference in a championship team. So I think a Tommy Edman, who's a second baseman utility player for the Cardinals, or somebody like that is what might help put you over the edge. Maybe a couple of those, like a piece here, a piece there, but I don't think it's going to be a big splashy trade. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm just saying, like, based on history and how you win a championship, I don't think it's with the big, huge trade. All right, Betty, thanks for the call.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure, Betty, have a good night. Let's go to John in Sacramento. John, you're on KNBR. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm totally opposed to the idea of trading prospects for any rental. I mean, just look at the Giants' history of having done that. God, I remember when they traded Zach Wheeler. They got an outfielder from the New York Mets who, if I remember correctly, didn't finish out the season and went somewhere else at season's end. And look at Wheeler's career. I mean, yeah, he's been injured, but he was productive. I remember when they traded, Adam Duvall. I went to a Rivercast game the day after they traded him. I remember looking at the game notes. Duvall was leading the PCL in home runs with Jared Parker, one home run behind him. And so, we got Mike Leake. He didn't pitch all that great. The end of the season, he was gone, and look at the career that Duvall has had. So, those are the two that come immediately to mind. I mean, I just think it's a big mistake. The only way I'd be willing, if I were running the show, would be to have the Angels sign Otani to a long-term contract with the knowledge that he was going to be traded to the Giants. But other than that, man, if you try to go for him before the trade deadline, what's going to attract him? What's going to make him want to come to San Francisco? I mean, if we keep our prospects, then we've got something to show him that, we're serious, we've got a future, come on down, So as to these trades, for rental players, I say nix, I say nada, I say negatory, I say when pigs fly, I say when hell freezes over. I mean, that's basically my attitude. So.
No, I like it. Any other cliches? I love cliches. Seriously, I'm not being smartass. I'm serious. Hell freezes over when pigs fly. I'm trying to think of other ones. Ralph, you got any? No, that's the shooting fish in a barrel does not apply to this.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that doesn't quite apply.
That's why producers can't talk on the radio, because of stuff like that. Like, we would lift the rule.
What?
That's not my rule. All right, thanks, John. Good stuff. John in Sacramento. Okay. The way we get Otani, stay with me here for a second. We bulldoze Alcatraz. We get the damn prison off there, and we build him a really nice house. and we say, this is your island. You not only own Alcatraz, you have a 40,000 square foot house on that island. We'll get you a boat to go back and forth to the ballpark with, a lot like Klay Thompson. And then you're part owner of the Golden Gate Bridge. So I should be an agent. Shohei, look it. This is your land right here. We're getting rid of the stupid prison. Nobody uses it anymore. It's just haunted and it's tours. So here's your mansion on Alcatraz. You live here. So that everybody in San Francisco, when they're on the wharf and they look out there and they're like, oh, that's Shohei's house. And it's secure. I mean, if you want to swim with great white sharks to get an autograph, go for it. Meanwhile, you're part owner of the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know who owns the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm going to guess it's the state of California or the country of the United States of America. But still, if you want to sign that guy, I got ideas. My idea of putting the 49ers stadium on Alcatraz is still the greatest idea ever. You put a new, screw Santa Clara. It's way too far. It's halfway to Los Angeles to go watch the Niners play. Put it right out here, and everybody takes yachts and boats, and we all part like it's like McCovey Cove times 1,000,000. All the boats are around the island. You got to zigzag through to like get to the game on time. Then the Niners win on their new stadium on Alcatraz. It's the best home field advantage ever because as a visiting player, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to Alcatraz. There's no way I'm going to get out or win. And then you take the ferry back to the mainland, whether it's Sausalito, whether it's Tiburon, wherever you're going, and you have a game there. You can come in from Hawaii via boat to a Niners game. I got so many ideas. Let's go to Ramon in Santa Rosa. You got a question for me, Ramon. What's going on?
How you doing, SP?
I'm doing great, Ramon. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I was going to ask you, did you play with J.R. Phillips?
Ramon, we went through this dance last week. You started naming all these players and asked me if I played with them. I did. I played in Mexico with J.R. Phillips.
What about William Van Landingham?
I did not play with William Van Landingham.
Well, okay, what about if we get the guy from the Brewers, the second baseman, the Hawaiian guy? I forgot his name.
Colton Wong. I'll take Colton Wong on my team any day. Absolutely. That's a good point, Ramon. Instead of asking if I've played with all these guys, which you did last time.
Well, I know that you played with Marvin Benar.
I did, Ramon.
And Armando Reyes. I'm from Nicaragua, so I got to support Marvin.
Yes, El Presidente, Dennis Martinez. I went to spring training with him once.
Oh, okay. All right, SP. So go Giants.
Go Giants, Ramon. Thank you. I love Ramon's funny. Like I like those calls. That's good stuff. Let's go to Noah in San Francisco. Noah, you're on KNBR.
Dude, I'm not topping that call, no matter what happens.
Dude, Ramon is the sweetest. He calls and he goes, "Did you play with?" And then he goes, "Did you play with?" And he asked me like 5 or 6 guys. It's so cool. Like I love it. He just like goes down the roster.
I think Ramon just made my day, man.
Yeah,
that was epic.
I got a big smile on my face right now, and you can see it on our all new KNBR app. All right, what do you got, Noah?
The Shohei thing was funny. I like the idea. I think this free agency is going to remind. So you ever seen the movie He Got Game?
I believe I have. Refresh my memory.
Like Denzel Washington's son is Ray Allen, and he's like the most hyped basketball. It's kind of like one of those LeBron James type prospects, and all the schools are trying to recruit him. I think like the hoopla from Shohei Mania this offseason is just going to be nuts. It was just you were asking about first half MVPs earlier, and I was driving home, and love Webb, love Tyro, and all of them. But Camilo Doval, I don't think you can say enough about how special he is. He accounts pretty much, at least partly, for half of our wins to this point. I think he has 25 saves. Dude throws like 102, 104. And also, I don't know if this has been brought up yet publicly, but he's the first all-star that the Giants have signed and developed from the international program since Pablo Sandoval. And they signed Pablo in 2003. So that's like a huge win for the scouting department to draft or to sign a guy like Camilo. And I think he's so special. I think it's a bold statement, but I think he's the best closer in baseball.
I do
right
too,
now.
especially with Edwin Diaz down for sure, and then he might rival Edwin Diaz here soon. No, I'm with you 100% on that. When you talk about, I've been around teams a lot in my broadcasting career and my playing career that don't have good bullpens. And when you don't have a good bullpen, it's like torture, man, because you're thinking, oh, we're going to have the music of the clubhouse. We're going to celebrate. It's going to be a happy flight. Next thing you know, it flips it on its head and everybody's pissed and quiet and it's weird. So all these games that he's saving, I mean, it's just such I don't want to say a luxury because a good big league team should have a good closer, but the fact that he's become an elite closer, he's tied for the major league lead in saves. He has a chance to set a Giants record for all-time saves in a single season. Like, this is really good stuff that we're seeing from this guy. And he's adjusted to the clock. At first, it was like a disaster with him. It's like, oh, is he going to throw? Is another ball? And he's starting to make that adjustment too, where it's really most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, it's low stress saves with him, and that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that getting over the hump thing for him this year was the pitch clock, because I think I saw some games early in the year, like in person. He did something really smart. I think this was like when he was starting to figure it out, where he used his one timeout. He had 2 strikes on a guy, I forgot who, but like the pitch clock was running really low, and that's when he used his one timeout. And I think the guy was kind of working the count. So when Camilo called a timeout, then the next pitch he struck him out, and it wasn't even close. No, he's just special. And I can't say enough about how lucky we are to have that guy. And about the bullpens, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, look at the Dodgers last year. They had like everything except for a bullpen. I think my buddy was texting me during the playoffs last year and thinking the Dodgers were going to go all the way. And I was like, I don't know. Like, their bullpen's kind of weak. I think that's what imploded. But yeah, no, it's good stuff. I'm loving the show.
Noah, you bring like a 98 mile an hour fastball with late movement every single night when you call. Like, please don't be a stranger. You could co-host a show on KNBR someday. Like, you have such good takes and such good knowledge, and you're so well spoken. Even though you got the surfer vibe and you come across as like, dude, you're really smart, man. Like, you have great takes every night. Like, I look forward to your calls. So call every night as long as you got a good take.
No, I'm just a fan. I've just been following the team since I was like, 5 or 6 or whatever, and I'm 32 now, and we talk about sports at the bar, like with whoever comes in. So hope to see you at the ballpark soon.
And the bar. I got to get. What's your bar again? Give it a shout out. I mean, you deserve it. You're such a contributor to the show.
It's okay. It's okay. We also,
you don't want to.
Just for you, it's Mars. Come to Mars. But
okay.
Yeah, no, I'm there Wednesday and Thursday. Actually, I moonlight as a sax player. I play sax on the weekends. And
do you really? That's cool, dude. Like, Raph's in a band. Maybe you could use a sax player in your band, Raph. You talk to Raph off the air. You're like, yeah. Hey, no, are you single?
Yeah,
because the sax. Right. I mean, but the sax has got to work, right? Like, if you start playing that, they just got to be like, "Oh, who's the sax player?"
Yes. Yeah. None of my relationships lasted long, so I'll put it that way.
All right. Well, quit horsing around when you're a band member. That's probably why. Yeah, maybe go home at night once in a while. All right, no. Thanks for the call, dude. Tighten it up. Maybe your relationship will work. Let's go to Connor in Dublin. Connor, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
FP, how are you?
I'm doing good. How was football practice today, Connor?
It was, it was fun but hard, and then swam for like 3.5 hours at a team bonding event. It was at Cole Canyon.
What was the team bonding event?
Swimming at Cole Canyon Lagoon. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No. So you guys all went swimming together?
Yeah, it was fun. We all held hands.
Like a Northwestern thing,
it was a paradise.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to chime in about the Giants tonight? What do you want to talk about, Connor? Hurry up. We're at the top of the hour. Let's go.
I got a ghost story real quick.
It better be. Okay. A concise ghost story, because we had one that was like, oh my God, is this ever going to end ghost story? So go ahead. Tell me a ghost story.
Great sound effects. Anyways, so I'm in my room, right? this was I was really young, so and it was like a 2-bedroom apartment, so I slept in the same room as my mom. She goes out early morning hours. It's pretty dark. This dark shadow walking around it kind of dives like how you would dive into a pool into my mom's bed and it disappears.
Come on, really?
Yeah, it was weird, wacky. So, it was like really hazy and everything, but it was. Ugh.
And how old were you at this time?
I was like probably 11 or 12.
And you're like what, 14 or 15 right now?
Yeah, 15.
Okay, so you saw a dark shadow dive into the pool?
No, mom's bed. It dove how like you would dive into a pool, kind of like a swan dive.
Into your mom's bed?
Yeah, wacky, right?
Is your mom okay? She was okay?
She was. No, I told you she walked out of the room. It was early morning hours. She wakes up really early,
okay.
yeah.
I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so good. It wasn't like a date or anything or that dove into your mom's bed. It was a ghost.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Yeah. I'm glad that everybody made it out okay with a ghost story. See, that's how you tell a ghost story, Connor. That's good job, man. Give Connor a round of applause. That was a good story. Connor, I want you to kick everybody's ass at football practice tomorrow and take names, all right?
Do it for you, SP.
Yeah, baby. Thanks, Connor. Love that kid. Connor, thanks for calling the show. You guys, just to recap, and Connor's going to hear this, obviously. Like, he called the show, he's a sophomore in high school. He called the show, what do I want to say, like in October maybe, for the first time, and he was really shy. And he was nervous to come on the air. And, like, you can hear it in his voice now. Like, he's more confident. He's playing football. He's a wide receiver and a cornerback. We have 25-year-olds and 15-year-olds and 30-year-olds. I mean, our show is young and fun. The vibe here is awesome. If you're not listening to this show, you're missing out. We have a blast every single night for 4 hours on the Sports Leader. All right, coming up next, I want to go off that Sam Darnold sound again. If you missed it earlier, I want to play it again. 49ers quarterback Sam Darnold went on Part of My Take, and he's got a story that you don't want to miss coming up next on the Sports Leader.
Giants baseball on KNBR and KNBR FM.
Brandon Crawford hits a rocket.
KNBR San Francisco, a Cumulus station. Missed an interview or want to hear it again? Catch them all at knbr.com/podcasts. You're tuned into KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, kind of go potpourri segment here and bounce around a little bit. If you're on hold, I'm going to get to your calls. Somebody on the text line asking, Alcatraz, did you take an edible? No, I did not. I'll have a drink with anybody. I don't fool around with that stuff. Every once in a while, I'll try edible to go to sleep. But other than that, I'm pretty much a booze guy. Did you guys see the Sphere in Las Vegas? This thing is sick. Like, I on my Instagram, FP Santangelo7, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I posted this today. I'm trying to get to it. Like, the first thing you see, it's like a big eyeball. Like, if speaking of edibles, if you took an edible and you saw that eyeball, you'd trip balls. Like, it's unbelievable. And then it goes to do you see the NBA basketball it turns into? I got to turn this down. I'm looking on my Instagram story right now. And then it does like the world. Did you see the world one where it goes from like light to dark and it shows a city and the lights? It's insane. Then it goes to the moon and look at that pumpkin. It's got like a full pumpkin. If you're looking on can you see this on the app? If you're on the all new KNBR app, you can see my Instagram story right now. Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff. And then NBA basketball. I'm wondering how many car accidents this thing's going to cause. Because literally, I mean, you drive on like the 101 or 80, and there's a car parked on the side of the road with its blinkers on. It causes a freaking traffic jam. Like, what are you looking at? It's just a car on the side of the road, and it caused a traffic jam. This thing, the Sphere in Vegas, there's going to be like 10-car pileups every night. It's an LED Sphere. Check it out. If you haven't seen it, it's sick. And it's like the new thing. And everybody's going to be, I think, like Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, is the guy that built this thing in Vegas. Unbelievable. Check it out. So that's the first potpourri thing. Second thing I want to get to is the phones, and then we're going to go to a Sam Darnold quote that you do not want to miss. It's really good stuff. Let's go to Leo in San Ramon. Leo, should the Giants trade for Shohei Otani?
Of course, all in.
Really? I mean, all the prospects, load them up and ship them down to L.A.
Load them up. We got, I mean, he's major league ready, proven track record. I mean, some trades don't work out, and that's just one of those things. But I think people are forgetting about Marco Scutaro. Wouldn't have won 2012 without him. Hunter Pence, forever Giant. I mean, that seemed those two guys seem to work out fine.
Good call. I mean, but what if he gets here and wants to sign somewhere else, and now you're out all your prospects? What are you going to do next year? Who cares?
I mean, that would kind of suck. But I would hopefully, the time that he spends here, he's going to love it in San Francisco, love the culture, love the food, and he's not going to want to leave.
I can't argue with that, and I think you got a good chance of signing him next year if you win. If the Giants keep winning and they play in October and even go deep into October, you got a really good chance to sign him because now you got a young base. You got prospects all over. You have a chance to win for a long time, and it's attractive to him to come here.
Yep, and I would buy his jersey, and he's, like you said, a generational talent.
I would buy his jersey, too. I'm a big fan. When I was on the East Coast, the West Coast bias, and you don't see the games because you're half asleep when you get home from your own game. I didn't really know a whole lot about him. I think Mike Trout's career has suffered, too, from that. But then being here now and seeing the World Baseball Classic and seeing what these guys are all about and how fierce a competitor he is, which maybe I didn't know before, I'm all in on him. I would love for him to be a Giant.
Yeah, I think he'd fit in it perfectly in the clubhouse, too. I mean, he's a humble guy, soft-spoken.
Yeah, he seems really likable from the outside.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Leo, thanks for the call, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks. Love your show.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for listening. Like I said earlier, I'm not trying to sound cocky or anything, but this is the show right now. We get calls all night. Everybody's having a blast. Tell your friends about it. If you want to have fun listening to Sports Talk Radio, this is where you tune in. Maybe some information every once in a while, but most of the time we're positive and we have fun here for 4 hours every single night. A guy who is going to have fun this year as a San Francisco 49er, hopefully, is Sam Darnold. And, they signed him to a one-year contract. And you remember when he was a New England Patriot that he said, I was seeing ghosts out there? He just got done working out with George Kittle at his barn. Kittle, you guys have seen this, right? For those of you who haven't, George has got the whole thing set up. George, I know him. I don't know him. He's got the football field out there. He's got the barn. He's got the workout facility. All the guys go up and work out with George Kittle. And Sam Darnold went up there recently and worked out with him. Then he was on Pardon My Take, one of the biggest podcasts going right now. And he had an interesting story about one of his nights in the stay at George Kittle's ranch.
George Kittle's barn. We were working out with him, did an interview with him, and he told us that you guys have become pretty close. You lived at his pool house, right, during OTAs, but then you moved out, and he was wondering why you moved out.
Yeah. Well, I got my spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
No.
Any other reason why you moved out?
No.
That he would have told us, maybe?
No.
To ask you about? You didn't think it was haunted?
Oh, the pool house?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was. Yeah, there was something going on.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
That's not why I moved out. I moved out because I had already spent a week there, but that didn't help.
We have to follow that up.
Tell us all about the ghosts.
I think you actually do see ghosts. I think it's like a real thing.
Like legitly?
Yeah.
Legitimately? No. It was crazy though, man. Like I never had anything like that happen to me before. I'm talking about, I guess both, the New England game and and at George's house. No, but it was crazy, man. Like I woke up and you know how sometimes you have a dream and then you wake up and you feel like you can't move for like maybe 4 or 5 seconds, whatever it is. I felt that and I woke up, it was like 3 a.m., went to go take a pee and, came back, fell right asleep. And then that next night, the same thing happened. And I just couldn't, I had to keep focusing on this thing in the corner. There was something else.
The Hat Man.
In the room.
Was it a dude wearing a hat?
No.
Billy was telling us about the Hat Man.
No.
Yeah.
It was very creepy and I had never dealt with anything like that before. And I know a couple people who have had situations where whether it was old Civil War, place where now there's a hotel or a dorm and people have certain experiences with that. But it was just super, super weird. And it just felt like when I woke up, there was something holding on to me.
Yeah.
That next night, I felt that something was in the room with me.
Jesus.
And it was the freakiest thing. I'm getting chills talking about it right now, but that's never happened to me before.
And I'm sure it sucks for you because you can't be tell the media I saw a ghost.
Yeah. No, I didn't see him. I just felt it.
Listen to your body.
Yeah, I felt it.
So have you guys seen the Thin Man? Google Thin Man and then images. That's what I'm picturing in the corner. So that's your quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, one of them this year, that was working out at George Kittle's haunted ranch, his haunted facility, 2 nights in a row. Have you guys ever had a night terror? Anybody out there, 808 KNBR, had a night terror? Not a nightmare, but a night terror. And I've had this, I was having them 7, 8 years ago. Not frequently. I'd say maybe once every 3-4 months where you're laying in bed. The worst one was, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this, there was nobody in the corner. I don't know who was in the corner. And Sam, George, maybe George was playing jokes on him. Maybe George put one of those masks on. He was sitting in the corner. Who knows? But that's a freaky story. But that's a guy that's known for seeing ghosts. And then he just went on a thing and said he saw another ghost. And now I'm trying to I'm tripping out on Sam Darnold if he's just I don't know. That's a kind of, I don't know. You're gonna command a huddle when you see ghosts. I'm not sure about this one right now. But the night terrors. Have you guys ever had one of those? I'm not a sleepwalker. Anybody a sleepwalker? If you're a sleepwalker, that's freaky. I had a kid next door. That was my buddy. His name's Ken Edwards. We're still friends. He used to spend the night at my house. And in 7th and 8th grade, he would wake up talking gibberish in the middle of the night. So I'm 13 years old. And he's walking around the house, sleepwalking, talking gibberish, I'm like, oh my God. Do we need garlic? Do we need a cross? Do we need holy water? He's literally being in the kitchen, opening the refrigerator, looking at the fridge as a 13-year-old going, what the F is going on? I was like, Mom, get down here now. It was crazy. So I don't know if this is one of those things that Darnold's talking about where it's a sleep terror and it's actually the dream and there's really not a ghost there. And he's kind of maybe he took some shrooms or something and had a rough night. I don't know. But these sleep terrors that I used to have where you're totally paralyzed. And you're laying there, and this one I had, I'll never forget, you guys, because it was super demonic, for lack of a better word. It was this black thing. I'm doing it it's just hovering over me, but it was big. It was the size of me, hovering over me. It was a black blob, but it had I don't want to say tentacles, but it had stuff hanging off it, and I was sitting there, and it was over me. This is way TMI for a radio show. And I was sitting there. Have you ever had the one where you're trying to scream and you can't scream? You're just like, like help? That was that dream. I'll never forget it. Well, I didn't see a ghost in the corner like the 49ers quarterback did. Is he going to see ghosts this year? Is he going to be like Levi's going like, and just throwing the ball to like, I don't know, apparitions running post patterns? Like, oh, no, it's not Christian McCaffrey. It's a ghost on a post flag route. Let's hit it for a touchdown. And then it's the other team. I'm kind of worried about that. And then they, like PFT, like on the show, like they got that out of him. You could tell he didn't want to tell that story. But I feel like for 49ers fans, we need to hear that. We need to. Brock Purdy ain't never seen no ghosts. He ain't afraid of no ghosts. Brock Purdy ain't afraid of no ghosts. Like, I don't know. Trey Lance ain't afraid of no ghosts. Joe Montana never saw a ghost in his life. He just saw Jerry Rice wide open all the time. Steve Young never saw a ghost, I don't think. He comes on KNBR the time. He doesn't talk about ghosts. He's just like a really intelligent ex-football player, Hall of Famer that knows football. There's no way. I don't think the 49ers have ever had a quarterback that has seen ghosts before. This is a first in 49ers history. You, 49ers fans, have a quarterback that's afraid of ghosts. Not tackles, not blitzing linebackers, not a safety disguising coverage and coming on a blitz. He's afraid of ghosts. How's that going to play out? Maybe we need a call. Dan Aykroyd. Bill Murray. You could pod that up a little bit. I like this song. Do you think he's going to get in the huddle like first play call in the preseason? I ain't afraid of no ghost. Like before he calls a play, just so he has the confidence of his teammates, gets in the huddle. I ain't afraid of no ghost. I think he has to at this point. I think there has to be some sort of exorcism with Sam Darnold before he can actually put the uniform on in the regular season. I think the 49ers need a priest on the sidelines with a cross, maybe some garlic necklaces, and some in the water. In Sam Darnold's water bottle, we put holy water. And then we're good. Everybody's good. This is getting weird. All right. Marty Lurie coming up at the bottom of the hour. Let's go open segment next. Your calls, 808 KNBR, everything on the table. Potpourri coming up next on the Sports Leader.
found KNBR Tonight with your host, FP Santangelo, on the Sports Leader.
Whose walk-up song was this? One of the better walk-up songs ever. I like Charlie Blackmon's Your Love, the outfield, and everybody in Colorado goes, tonight. That's one of my favorite ones, but Barry Bonds, come on. This is one of the best walk-up songs ever. It was just kind of like, oh my gosh, this guy's such a badass. Here comes a walk or a home run. I'm not sure which one. I've been trying to get Barry on the show. We had him one night, and he said, I forgot I went out to dinner. We will have Barry Bonds on the night show. Trust me. We text all the time. He's doing very well. I miss him. I see him at the ballpark every once in a while. He locked Blake Sable in the other day. There's a couple of nice things. He told him, throw your hands to the baseball. Blake Sable's been raking ever since. Barry Bonds was the hitting coach for the Marlins for a while, but I don't think he knew what a commitment it is to be a hitting coach at the highest level. And that's kind of hard for a superstar player that has everything to invest that much time and energy. And the counseling. But I always say he was one of the best hitting coaches I ever had. Took me in the cage when I was struggling. Said, do you want to learn how to hit today? He grabbed the bag of baseballs, and we went in the cage at Candlestick, and he helped me out. Just a recap on the show so far and what you've missed. I'm telling you, we're having a blast every single night from 6 to 10 p.m. It's a party on KNBR. We encourage drinking and calling. Not drinking and driving, but drinking and calling. We encourage that on the night show. We've had some fun calls tonight. It started with me congratulating my son. If you missed it, my son was on KHTK in Sacramento from 2 to 6 p.m. today, and he killed it. It's his first ever full radio show. They asked him if he wanted to try out for the show. The new program director there called him, and he was on KHTK today. I thought it would be hard to listen to. He was so good. He was really, really good. You guys probably heard him chiming in here at KNBR over the years when he was producing here, but this was his first ever behind the mic experience, and I honestly think he has a future. He did really well today, and if they don't hire him, they're missing out. He had some great takes on the 49ers. He had some great takes on the Giants. He had George Contos on the show. So proud papa moment. My son was on the radio for 4 hours today, and I'm really proud of him. He did a great job. And then we went on to talk about the Niners, Sam Darnold with the haunted ghost story. You guys just heard that. Creepy stuff, man. I'm not sure how that plays in a locker room. He's going to catch some heat. I know that. He's going to catch some hazing. Not like the hazing at Northwestern. If you missed that story, Pat Fitzgerald. Look at that segue. That was really good. What am I doing? Pat Fitzgerald, the head coach at Northwestern, was fired today because of one of his players came out and said there's been some really bad hazing. Not a fan of that kind of hazing. I like the friendly hazing where you go to Starbucks in your baseball uniform at Wrigley Field, you buy coffee. Not the naked slingshot, naked bear crawls, naked center quarterback exchange, naked pass rush. Those are all cool games at a swinger party, but not as a freshman in college. Not car wash where all the linemen soap up their bodies and you have to get through the linemen to get to the shower. That's not cool. Swinger party? Pretty damn good idea. Hey, you guys want to play naked car wash? Sure, lather up, girls. But not in college, not for hazing. Hey, you want to play naked quarterback center exchange? Okay, not in college. It's not cool.
That sounds pretty gross.
Not in college, yeah. But at a swinger party? That's a great idea. I don't know what naked slingshot is. Does anybody know what naked slingshot is? 808 KNBR that you can say on the radio? I'm guessing you use your slingshot as a baseball bat. I could bunt in that game, and that's about it. If that's what I think it is. I could maybe lay down a bunt on a good day. I mean, maybe that's TMI. Not funny for college. I went over this earlier today. Like freshmen in college, man, that's like the hardest year. You're trying to find something, a place to fit in, a group to fit in with, a club to belong to, a sorority, a fraternity, the chess club, the math club, the band, like whatever it is. You're so fish out of water. There's 30,000 undergrads. You're running around. You're part of a football team. You've got a scholarship at the most prestigious universities in the world. And if you have a bad day, I remember I was a freshman at Cal, and my coach would yell at me. I would go back to my dorm room, and I couldn't sleep at night because he was getting on me. He's trying to knock the confidence out of me. Like, I can't imagine being a freshman in college and having to go through what these kids went through if this is indeed true. Like, you always have to say allegedly. Coach got fired today. But it's just like, you shouldn't have, like, being a freshman in college or being an undergrad in college is hard enough on its own, let alone you have seniors hazing you like this. So while I'm making fun of it in an adult world, as an 18-year-old, this sucks. And I feel bad for these kids that have had to go through this. So we'll see what happens from there. Then we went on to talk about, I thought Patrick Bailey's the first half MVP. He's solidified. He's been the glue for this team since he got called up and started performing. We asked about the first half MVP. We cut in live to Julio Rodriguez putting on an absolute display, hitting 41 home runs in the first round in Seattle. I always think it's cool when the home player is in the home run derby and the fans gets behind him. It was electric. We played it live. We did a live look-in bonus coverage here at the night show. So we've had a fun time talking about a bunch of different things tonight. I think the most interesting stuff was the Otani talk. Like 95% of color. Marty Lurie, who's coming up next, I talked to him earlier today, and he said that he would trade everything for Otani. Apparently, Susan Slusser, well, I didn't hear this, so I have to preface it with that. A caller said she said the same thing. I'm against trading everybody for Otani because you're not guaranteed to keep him here. Why are we all excited as Giants fans? Because of the young injection of life and energy, and we can see a future here for a long time with these players. And you're just going to trade him away? You ain't getting Otani without Casey Schmidt. You ain't getting Otani without Kyle Harrison. You ain't. It's good English. You're not. You most definitely are not. You're going to have to give up Austin Slater. You're going to have to give. I mean, there's big names that would have to be involved in this trade. Joey Bart, Austin Slater, Kyle Harrison, Casey Schmidt. This is Shohei Otani. This is the best player in the game right now, two-way player. That's a potential Cy Young Award winner, a potential MVP as a hitter. So if you're thinking about trading for him right now and then you don't sign him in December, you think the backlash was terrible last year without getting Arson Judge and Carlos Pegleg? Like, are you kidding me? Like, it'll be 10 times worse this year. So that's kind of the show. And like I said, and I'm going to say this every night until you guys get sick of it. Like, we are having so much fun on this show. It's taken a year or so to hit its stride, but right now we are absolutely cruising. I think it's because of the Giants' success, but mostly it's because you guys call every night with awesome takes. You get me thinking. Sometimes you get off track, but that's the fun of doing a show by yourself. I can take it wherever I want, and I love when you guys call and you get me thinking. That's my favorite part. A guy that always gets me thinking is Marty Lurie. I love talking to him about baseball. I love agreeing with him. I love disagreeing with him. So on the other side, Marty Lurie coming up next on the Sports Leader.
Download the all-new KNBR app. Now, KNBR Tonight with FP Santangelo continues live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, my first guest tonight, we haven't caught up since May on the air. We've seen each other at the ballpark a few times, but we figured at the, the All-Star break, the air quote halfway point of the season, we'd have him on to recap and kind of go over what's going on with the San Francisco Giants. So my good friend Marty Lurie joins the show. Marty, how we doing?
I'm doing great, FP. And remember, it's a dry heat. That's what we say down here in Arizona.
Wait, what's the weather like? Is it like 114?
Pretty close, maybe 109, 110. Yeah, it'll get to 114. It'll sneak up on you.
Dry heat.
As we like to say, it's a dry heat. Okay,
it's a dry heat. You can have that. When you go to either broadcast against the Diamondbacks or play against them, you don't even leave your hotel room. You can't even walk across street because you might just spontaneously combust. But we're at the halfway point, Marty. What are you thinking about this club? They're 49-41, 8 games over. They had a nice last game before the break with Logan Webb spinning a gem, the complete game shutout, 10K. The changeup was awesome. They take 2 out of 3 from the Diamondbacks. So they're having a nice All-Star break. Last year they were 12.5 games back of the All-Star break. This year they're 2.5 games back. So your thoughts on the first half for the San Francisco Giants?
Well, I think it's been very good. In May we kind of said on our show that they would be in first place by the end of June or July. And, they're a couple of games back of Arizona, so they're in good shape. 49-41, that's 90 games or 72 to go. And there's some things that are very evident to me, and that is that their bullpen is a lot better than any other bullpen in the National League West. And now when we start these games after the break, they're huge. This road trip is huge, and I think the fact that the Giants have a good pen, and Luke Jackson will be back soon, and Brebby will be back soon, and they're not overworked. They have a lot of innings because of the opener and the bulk guys, but basically they're in good shape, and to me, it's a game of bullpens now in Major League Baseball, so I think that's in good shape. They've got some injuries. Of course, Logan Webb is a winner. And he pitched a great game on Sunday, and you can just rely on him. He's got a lot of innings now, FP. He's at 125, 126, and he's heading for about 220 here. So we'll have to see what that does to him in the second half. But they have to get the offense going, and you can't rely on the kids completely. Matos, they're sort of leveling off on him. Bailey still gets a big hit here and there, but not, of course, the way it was when it all started. Schmidt is still searching for it. So you've got that going on. Strada's injury is a problem. So I think on these 3 weeks that are coming up, this road trip especially, they go into Pittsburgh. And this is a team that's a negative run differential. And they're okay at home, not great. Then they go into Cincinnati. And at some point, Cincinnati, which is really the story of Major League Baseball, probably along with the Orioles and maybe Tampa Bay in the first half of the season. But eventually it's going to catch up with the Reds. You just can't pitch the way they do and get 2 or 3 innings out of your starter and then have to use that bullpen all the time and rely on comebacks. So the Giants get them, and good pitching sometimes stops good hitting. So they're there. And again, negative run differential for the Cincinnati Reds. Then after that, it's off to Washington, your old stomping grounds. And they're not bad on the road, but at home they have not played well at all. And again, negative run differential there, and then a game in Detroit. So the team comes in as a strong team on this road trip, on these 11 games. And I think 7-4 is not unreasonable because you want to go into the trade deadline with a little bit of momentum because Farhan's got some work to do. He can add a starting pitcher, perhaps. He can go to the bullpen and do something there. But you got to get your team on the field, and that means the health of Conforto, Slater, Yastrzemski, Wade, people like that, Crawford. And that's going to determine a lot of what happens in the second half. But short answer for you, I think the first half has been terrific. I think they're in great shape. It's going to be a good baseball race for the next couple of months, and they're right there with the pitching, and they're playing decent baseball.
Talking to Marty Lurie, nice enough to join us tonight on KNBR Tonight. We haven't caught up with him since May, so it's good to hear his voice. Always good to hear Marty Lurie's voice. So you mentioned Farhan and starting pitching. Can they keep doing these bullpen games, Marty? Because, you think of a Game 5 in an NLDS or a Game 7 in a CS or the World Series. I don't see teams winning World Series and playoff games with an opener. Do you think they need another starter, and can this continue with the opener in the second half?
Well, I think they'll do it as long as they can, as long as it works. They're 11-3 in the 14 games where they've used an opener. So really, why change things now? But as you say, if you get to the point where you get in the playoffs, if you've got Webb and you've got Cobb, and then you have to figure it out after that, that is not an ideal scenario. So Farhan knows it. He says he wants a 1 or a 2. He's got a pocket full of guys, these Sclafani and Wood, people like that who are back into the rotation guys. What's going to happen with Minaya? Is Stripling going to be okay? That's why these 3 weeks coming up to the trade deadline are huge for me, because they have to figure out what they have with these other pitchers. Wood especially. He's a decent pitcher if you start him. Stripling had a good year last year, but you have to figure out what you have. And I think, frankly, if I'm Farhan, I'm going out and try to get a starting pitcher, whether it's Jordan Montgomery, whether it's Rodriguez from Detroit, whether it's Giolito. I mean, there are going to be a lot of people in the market here. Scherzer, Verlander could be up if the Mets come out of the break here and are not real strong. So if I'm Farhan, I'm looking for a pitcher. I would like to see one more starter, and then you can play around with the other spot in the rotation for the season. But if you get into the playoffs, you need somebody to go with Logan Webb. You need a guy to go with him.
Well, Alex Cobb just named to the All-Star team. I mean, he's been doing a great job when he's healthy this year, and that's a nice 1-2 punch. But I hear what you're saying, talking to Marty Lurie, nice enough to join us today. Okay, who's the first half MVP, position player, pitcher?
Well, I think it's Lamont Wade for me. He's fourth in Major League Baseball. This is not fourth on the team. Fourth in Major League Baseball in on-base percentage. They do so well in that first inning. They're always getting the other starter up to 20 pitches. A lot of it is what he does. And I think for me, he's the guy who really turned it around from day one in Yankee Stadium. You can make a great argument for Estrada as well. And I'll tell you something, you can make an argument for Bailey for what he gave the ball club after he came up. It was an absolute spark. The catching position was a disaster, really, in trying to get a good catcher and plus get some offense out of that position, and he filled the area for both. But I'll go with Lamont Wade, 404 on base percentage. He's played decent defense at first base, and for me, he'd be the guy. So who do you go with? Who's your guy?
Well, it was Tyro until he got hurt. I think Tyro's their best player, period. End of story. But then what Patrick Bailey has added to this team, I would have to lean toward him just because watching Logan Webb shutout the other day, and Bailey's already caught a shutout. It was 6 different pitchers in an opener game earlier in the season when he got called up. So he's caught a shutout. I think it was against the Brewers in Milwaukee. But this with your ace, and all of a sudden your ace and the guy that you signed to a 5-year, $90 million deal has confidence in you. And I watched the receiving. I didn't keep track of it, Marty, and I watched the game on tape again today, and I should have, but I thought about it too late, and my day got away from me. But it seemed to me that he stole at least double-digit strikes for Logan Webb with pitches that were outside the box. And when you talk about the value and the confidence that the staff has in him now, and I don't think it's talked about enough how these 50-50 balls, and some of them are not even close, and he's subtly pulling them back in the zone, especially the low pitch, catching the top half of the baseball and framing it up. But he takes the top of the zone, too, and he just knocks his glove down a little bit. So for me, what he's added, the stability behind the plate, the confidence in the pitching staff, and everybody wants to throw to this guy. He's by himself in a lot of different ways, beyond even the obvious, turn the season around for the Giants.
Yeah, I agree with you. And he frames every pitch. Every pitch. I don't care where it is. He pulls it into that strike zone, and it looks like a strike. So I agree with you on that. Pitching-wise, that's a good question, pitching-wise. I'd go with Webb because you have to have a guy. You have to have the guy you say, it's your day today. We're going to give you the ball, and you're going to give it back to us in the 7th or 8th inning. And we know, I don't care who the opponent is, that you can take care of business. And he has done that in his 19 starts, whatever he's made so far. So for me, he's the guy. But I want to tell you something. This Tyler Rogers.
Yeah, that's what you're talking to. You took my pick, but go ahead.
I'm telling you, this Tyler Rogers is just fabulous. And everything is soft contact. If you were playing second base, which you did, you'd be in action every time this guy got on the mound. Everything is soft contact to the right side. He shuts it down. Yeah, he got nicked a little bit here in the last week or so. But basically, no one has done anything to him. And he makes the game a 7-inning game. You're winning after 7, and what are they, like 36-2, leading after 7, and then you give it to the big guy, and he comes in and he just shuts the door, and there's something like 45-0 and leading after 8, something ridiculous like that. So when you bring those two guys in, it's huge. But for me, I want my ace. I want the guy, when I give him the ball in that big game, I know he's going to do it. And there's not going to be any question whether he's going to get knocked out in the 3rd inning or he's not going to pitch well and all that. So I'll stick with Webb.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to, especially with recency. His first complete game, a 10 strikeout, no walk. The changeup was ridiculous the other day. Hopefully there's something clicked there where he can repeat that, not that exact performance, but that changeup, slider, fastball command combination was just lights out. And, yeah, I mean, whatever. I'll go with Camilo Doval. There's so many choices there. I really like Alex Cobb. I got to know him during FanFest this year, Marty, and I talk about him all the time. He's a great person, and he gets it in so many ways. And his quotes the other day after throwing to Patrick Bailey, how he threw 6 shutout, and it had to do with the catcher and how much confidence he had in him. Just really, really good stuff from a veteran guy, and it's so cool to see him. And he wanted to make the All-Star team, too. That's been a goal of his, and it's been taken away a few years because of injuries and whatever. So it's cool to see him in Seattle. I'm excited to see him pitch tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. So, here's the point. When you can name 7 or 8 guys and make an argument for every one of them as the best hitter, best defender, best pitcher, whatever you want to say, when you can make that kind of argument, that means the team's winning. That's what you want, and that's exactly where they are today. And I think it's a good example of this discussion of picking the team apart a little bit. Look, when Schmidt came up, it was huge what he did. When he came up and the spark that he gave this ball club, that it was just unbelievable. It's huge what Beck has done coming out of the bullpen. Minaya now has a spot. He's got that. But, the point is these 3 weeks are tough weeks coming out of the break. You've got to get your momentum going again. You got a long road trip. These other teams, they're getting ready to get their golf dates down that you're playing. But still, they can set up their rotation. They're playing at home. Weather could be a factor here for the next couple of weeks. So this is a tough test for the Giants.
One guy we didn't mention, Marty, and I think he had a really good first half, and it was the glue of the infield, is J.D. Davis, and the improvements he made defensively. Yep. And nobody saw that coming. I mean, he was an okay third baseman, wasn't great, wasn't bad. He was okay over there. He did a lot of hard work with Kai Correa, and all of a sudden he's playing gold glove caliber third base. That was VR's job in spring training. Remember the headlines in Scottsdale? It's his job, and they just anointed him the next third baseman. That didn't work out. So you're talking about who's our third baseman right now? Casey Schmidt wasn't ready back then. So all of a sudden, here comes J.D. Davis, a platoon guy historically with the Mets and last year with the Giants. Now he becomes an everyday guy. He's a threat at the plate. He hit the home run that was the difference yesterday and playing a gold glove third base. So I feel like he needs a mention too.
Absolutely terrific. Terrific defender. He's been just the arm is just unbelievable.
It is.
He just throws a rocket to first base. The thing about him and why it wasn't a complete shock to me, after getting to know him a little bit in spring training, realize how solid he is as a person. He was like 3rd or 4th in all of baseball with exit velocity of hard hit balls. And for me, this guy, when he takes a swing, forget it. And he can make up for a lot of ground when he's behind a pitch. He'll take it to right field. So the fact that he can hit the ball so hard has been a tremendous plus for him. Now, he's never played the full season before. He's always been injured. He was with the Mets. He got traded and all that. So for him, he says he's a little tired now. They got to be careful with him and maybe give Flores a little bit more playing time. at third base so you don't wear JD down.
The biggest difference between the team, they were 48 and 43 at the break last year, 12.5 back. They're 49 and 41 this year, 2.5 back. And if you just get into those numbers, it doesn't tell the story. To me, the story of the first half of the season, the Giants this year, they're playing good defense. They did not play good defense last year. Their infield play, whether it's Schmidt or even Wisely at second base or JD, Lamont Wade Jr. at first has played way better than I thought he would. Their infield defense, you put Patrick Bailey behind the plate. Their outfield defense has been good, too. So, to me, the nutshell story of the first half, obviously the bullpen's a big one. But the defense, last year it was tough to watch. This year it's fun to watch.
Well, it's okay. I'm not going to get excited about it yet. They still lead the world in errors. They'll throw the ball over the cutoff man. Balls will drop in the outfield, pop-ups will drop, and all this kind of stuff. Wade is really still learning the position at first base. And there's very tough plays with first and third, and a ball hit to him. He's got to figure out what to do. So it hasn't killed him, but it's not great yet. And they're going to have to play better defense in the second half. So what's the difference? And you point out the two records. You know what the difference is?
What?
The division.
Oh, yeah.
The Dodgers are a work in progress. They're 1 through 5. They're fabulous. Fabulous. Look at Mookie Betts and Will Smith and Freeman and Muncy, and whatever they're going to do, it happens for them, and they're going to get their pitching together. Urias is back, so basically things are going to happen for them, but they have not put it together yet. And Arizona needs pitching desperately. They need bullpen help desperately. They've got some injuries, so there's no real tremendous confidence in them. So the Giants are in good position in the division. And look at San Diego. The argument is who's having the worst season? San Diego, the Cardinals, or the Mets. And how about that situation? Now, San Diego's got hot lately, and they have to come out of the break in these 3 weeks and do something to get back into this race. Same thing for the Mets. There's pressure on these teams that are sort of bubble teams. The Marlins coming out of the break have to see what they're going to do. They're leading the wild card right now. Can they do it for another 70 games, 72 games? They've got over 50 wins already. They go 500 in the second part of this season here. They're going to have 88 to 90 wins. And no one's going to touch Atlanta, but that could put them in the wild card. So the Giants have to watch that. The Phillies are streaking now with a 24 out of 32, something like that. The Giants have their hands full, but they can win the division. That's the difference this year. They're in great shape for a wild card. I still believe they're going to be better than Milwaukee and Cincinnati, and I'm not a believer yet in the Marlins in the long run. But they can possibly win this division, and that's the exciting part. That's for me, that's the thing that they have to go for in the second half. Not be satisfied with the wild card, but go right at the Dodgers and go right at Arizona.
Go right at the Dodgers, Marty Lurie. I love it, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Go right at Arizona. Great show tonight, Raph. Great job, Kyle. Thanks for all your help tonight. You guys are amazing as usual. I'm going to go home and play car wash, and hopefully there's everybody they're all soaped up waiting for me at home. What a weird story. What a weird show. We had fun, though. We got through it. Sam Darnold. I hope we play that sound on the station tomorrow of his ghost story with George Kittle. That was really good stuff and a really good find today. Your calls, you guys are the best. Thanks for all your calls tonight. I would say 98% of Giants fans that called the show, this is not a scientific survey, said that we do not trade for Shohei Otani. We'll just sign him. Just open up the checkbook, sign him, and then bulldoze Alcatraz and build him a house on that island. He'll be safe. It'll be nice. Take the boat to the ballpark. It'll be great. We'll be back tomorrow night from 6 to 10 p.m. We'll talk about the All-Star game while it's being played. Vlad Guerrero Jr. won the home run derby. I didn't see it because I was doing a show. We're going to do the All-Star game during the show tomorrow. I'm not going to see it, but we'll do a show, and then we'll give you updates. We'll do live look-ins to the All-Star game tomorrow night. Thanks for all your calls. Like I say on the way out every single night, swing hard in case you hit it on The Sports Leader.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief on CBS Sports Radio.